My Marvel superhero girlfriend, greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 476, Teach Superman How to Fight Doomsday. We have to fight quickly. Magic Superman's Nian knew they couldn't drag it out any longer. The longer they delayed, the stronger Doomsday would become. He was like a newborn baby, born to hunt Kryptonians, constantly absorbing external energy, endlessly increasing his own strength. His very existence was a flaw in Kryptonian civilization. Facing Doomsday, bursting forward with abundant energy and a violent aura, Nian waved his hand, and hundreds of dense Martian lassos suddenly appeared in the surrounding space, binding Doomsday. He hadn't forgotten that he was now a witch, a sorcerer. The Sorcerer Supreme. Boom. Terrifying energy tidal waves erupted from Doomsday, destroying everything around him. Hundreds of Martian lassos lasted only half a second before breaking apart. But half a second was enough. Magic Superman's Nian twisted the 5 fingers of his right hand, and 5 portals appeared almost simultaneously in front of him. 1 Martian portal surrounded Doomsday's neck, and the other 4 Martian portals appeared between his limbs. Retract. Nian created the Martian portal and quickly retracted it. At this moment, the portal, previously used only for teleportation due to its slow speed and lag, became a dimensional slash with special slicing properties in the hands of the magical Superman Nian. The portal decapitated. Puff. Green-black blood splattered. This blood spilled onto the ground, 1,000 times more terrifying than acid, instantly corroding and melting the earth. However, Doomsday remained standing. The 5 Martian portals dissipated, leaving only 5 deep gashes on its neck and limbs, deep enough to reveal the bone. Even the Martian portals couldn't cut through it. His defense was truly formidable. Nian admitted that Doomsday's physique was similar to his own, constantly upgrading his abilities. Both had achieved levels theoretically unattainable in this universe through some extraordinary means, becoming one of its outliers. Doomsday roared in anger, his wounds healing at a visible rate. Energy lingered and reinforced his body, threatening to tear Nian apart. "You have more opponents than just me," Nian said inexplicably. At this moment, a rustling sound appeared. A 6th Martian portal opened close behind Doomsday. Swoosh! Superman, clad in a black battlesuit, burst out of the portal. At this distance, at a speed too fast for Doomsday to react, he thrust his kryptonite spear, glowing green, forward. With a swish, the kryptonite spear pierced Doomsday's still unhealed wound. Doomsday screamed. Nian. Superman, clutching the kryptonite spear in both hands, also cried out, only to discover that the tip of the kryptonite spear was stuck in bone, preventing it from penetrating Doomsday's body as fully as before. Doomsday had not only grown stronger, but his defenses had also increased several times over. Doomsday roared furiously, attempting to turn his head and thrust his claws at Superman behind him. "Do you think I don't exist?" Nian shook his head. He flew forward at breakneck speed and delivered a simple punch. The punch hit Doomsday's head squarely, not only stopping him from turning, but also causing him to fall backwards with such force and impact. Superman knew he couldn't retreat. He plunged his feet into the ground, his force field surging through his forehead as he held the kryptonite spear with all his might. Puff. Doomsday landed between Nian and Superman, his cervical vertebrae shattering as the kryptonite spear pierced through him. The kryptonite tip, gleaming green, protruded from his throat. Doomsday's roaring growl abruptly ceased. The energy glowing from his eyes dimmed, and the raging energy lingering around him receded like a tide. His ferocious, cold, gray head drooped. Success. Superman released the kryptonite spear and exhaled, his tense heart relaxing. He looked forward, speechless at the sight of Nian, who appeared relieved. "Are you all right?" Nian stepped around Doomsday's corpse and raised his left hand toward Superman. "Yes." Superman clapped his hands together, sternly raising an eyebrow. "Regarding Kara's matter, after this, come to my house." "Okay," Nian agreed. Not because he was Superman, but because he was his future brother-in-law, Carl. He still had to give him some respect. At the edge of the battlefield. Is it over? Jesse quick looked at Doomsday, now silent on the battlefield in the distance. He turned to see a Batplane and a Crimson Iron Man flying towards them. Then there were Supergirl, Cyborg, and Cyborg Girl. Superheroes from other cities were also arriving at this final battleground. Even though they were only there to participate, Jesse quick felt a wave of exhaustion. In the center of the battlefield. They're here too, Superman said. Then I'll be leaving first, Nian said, turning and leaving. Remember, you must come to my house this weekend. Superman Clark reminded him. Nian, without even turning back, gestured with an OK sign. Superman smiled knowingly. But at that moment, something unexpected happened. A kryptonite spear, gleaming a dazzling green light, was lodged in the back of his neck. Doomsday, who had been standing motionless like a statue, suddenly lit up with a violent, cold gleam of energy. His sharp claws darted out at Superman at his side, lightning fast. At this distance, and so suddenly, not even Clark's Superman had time to dodge. Bang! Superman's eyes widened as he saw the young man almost instantly block his path. His hands, blazing with crimson flames, barely caught the claw. Boom! The two powerful energies collided and exploded right in front of him. Magic Superman's Nian gave a powerful push, barely pushing him dozens of meters away. Doomsday ignored the kryptonite spear in his neck, his violent energy surging through his body. How is it possible? It's not dead. Superman's resolute face paled slightly. If Nian hadn't reacted, he might have perished at Doomsday's claws again. Perhaps it's because it's been killed by kryptonite once, so it's resistant to it, Nian said in a low voice. He should have suspected this possibility long ago. How could Doomsday, who could infinitely evolve and increase his power, not have a kryptonite weakness? So what do we do now? Even the kryptonite spear didn't react, leaving Superman completely at a loss. If that's the case, then there's nothing we can do, Nian shrugged. We can only take a risk. How? What risk? Superman was confused. He couldn't think of any way to deal with Doomsday at his current level of evolution. Magic Superman's Nian didn't respond. He took a step forward and flew towards Doomsday. Doomsday's energy aura was slightly stronger than before, blending into a massive energy conversion field in the form of a monster. Nian suddenly activated his dimensional ring in midair, and a purple gem emerged from the air, emitting a hint of cosmic light. Without hesitation, Nian opened his right hand and grasped the purple gem. Chapter 477 The strongest villain in this universe. All the superheroes who had rushed to the vicinity of Metropolis could see the young man, once ablaze like a crimson flame, suddenly enveloped in a powerful purple light. Magic Superman's Nian clenched the purple gem in his right palm, his golden red eyes igniting with purple flames. In an instant, he leaped dozens of meters, rushed to Doomsday, and delivered a powerful right punch. Doomsday let out a roar heard throughout the city, even more powerful than before. A terrifying energy shrouded his monstrous body, and he, driven by his hunting instinct, extended his massive claws. No matter how powerful the energies or special abilities, when Kryptonian genes were involved, the body was undoubtedly the most powerful weapon. Before they collided, the air currents within a 10,000-meter radius surged, disrupting the air pressure. Magic Superman's Nian and Doomsday's right fists and claws collided again. Not far behind Nian, Superman frowned, believing that continuing this battle with Doomsday was pointless. After all, as long as Doomsday survives, he will continue to evolve and grow in battle without limit. But the next moment, Superman was startled. He could see ahead. This time, Magic Superman's Nian's right fist didn't confront Doomsday. Instead, it shattered Doomsday's extended claws. That's right, it shattered them. Crack! That fist, blazing with crimson magic and shrouded in a powerful purple light, shattered Doomsday's massive claws, tougher than even a steel body. Without slowing, it continued forward, striking Doomsday's chest. Bang! Doomsday's cold, rough skin and incredibly dense muscles exploded, and Nian's right arm was almost completely absorbed into Doomsday's body. The battlefield seemed to freeze in that moment. Doomsday's eyes, flashing with energy, widened. Without hesitation, he ignored his shattered claws and continued to thrust his intact, ferocious left claw towards Nian. Ha! Magic Superman's Nian roared, his resonant voice amplifying waves that even echoed beyond Metropolis. His eyes glowed purple, and his handsome, delicate features took on a sinister hue, resembling a violet deity. Bang! A beam of light, A blend of crimson magic and purple energy erupted from Doomsday's back, sweeping across the island, creating a kilometer-long abyss before disappearing into the vast ocean beyond the harbor. From behind, Magic Superman Zinnian's tightly clenched right hand was visible. Doomsday's extended claws rested just between Zinnian's brows. A kryptonite spear lodged in his neck, and a bloody hole ripped through his chest. From behind, the figure of the young man standing before him could be seen. Rumble. Energy still lingered in Doomsday's body, and his 4-meter-tall, burly frame fell backward, collapsing on the island battlefield at Metropolis Harbor. Magic Superman Zinnian exhaled a long breath, but instead of freezing air, it was a scorching heat that turned the area around him into scorching heat. Did it work? Superman paused. He quickly flew forward, reaching Zinnian's side, glancing at Doomsday, who lay on the ground. He was truly dead. Killed with a single punch, a living death. How did you do that? Superman was incredulous. This was Doomsday, a creature that had evolved to a certain level. He felt helpless. Furthermore, Zinnian had been locked in a fierce battle with Doomsday just moments before, yet now he'd struck him dead with a single blow. If Superman hadn't known Zinnian, he'd seriously suspected he'd been playing him. Simple, I cheated. Magic Superman Zinnian, appearing exhausted and weary, showed Superman the purple gem in his hand. It was the Power Stone, one of the Infinity Stones. The Power Stone's power amplified the strength and energy possessed by its wielder. It was powerful enough to explode a star. Over eons, this Infinity Stone has passed through the hands of more cosmic civilizations than any other, wielding it and resulting in the destruction of countless leading civilizations. While this stone possesses the power to destroy even the most advanced civilizations, it can also easily cause the wielder to lose control and go berserk. Especially without the Infinity Gauntlet, wielding even just one of the Infinity Stones barehanded, as Nian does, could easily lead to self-destruction. If Nian weren't confident in his own defenses and in his Magic Superman mode, he wouldn't have risked wielding the Power Stone barehanded. Of course, the effect is remarkable. With the Power Stone's blessing, Nian, whose strength and energy rival Doomsday's, was forcibly boosted to new heights. It's no surprise, then, that he could kill Doomsday with a single blow. Don't underestimate that single punch. It was a full-force attack energized by Magic Superman and the Power Stone. As God King Odin had previously said, this represents the peak combat power of a single universe, combined with the power of a single universe-class weapon. If even this single blow couldn't kill Doomsday, that would be a serious problem. Thank goodness, it worked. Magic Superman Zinnian felt his strength and energy drained from his body. Violent, raging purple cosmic energy surged from the cracks between his right fist, pulsing through his body and mind like purple electric currents. Zinnian hurriedly used the dimension ring to transfer the power gem back to the devouring dimension, and his condition improved slightly. Yes, thank goodness it worked, Superman nodded, a rare smile breaking across his resolute face. Then, as if realizing something, Superman Clark curiously asked, Zinnian, is that new ring on your right hand also for boosting combat power? What new ring am I wearing? Zinnian replied, puzzled, then quickly stopped talking. He looked down in surprise and saw that, besides the silver crown-shaped dimension ring on his middle finger, he actually had a new ring on his thumb. The ring was pitch black, reflecting no light, and had an eerie, decayed feel. Magic Superman Zinnian's quick thinking led him to realize the moment he saw the black ring. It had been hidden deep within Doomsday's skeleton and even his heart and lungs, invisible even to X-ray vision. And just then, as he pierced Doomsday's body, the ring slipped onto his hand. It was as if the surge of resurrected supervillains, and even Doomsday's resurrection, had all been geared towards this single act. The ring resembled the Green Lantern rings used by the Green Lantern Corps, but its understated black color made it less prominent. Yet, even under Death's eye, a thick aura of death could be seen woven into its fabric. I see, Magic Superman Zinnian instantly understood. But the moment he saw the black ring on his own hand, it was too late to act. Run. Zinnian spoke without hesitation, run. Carl. Chapter 478 The Strongest Villain, The Darkened Zinnian. What? Superman was startled, realizing something was terribly wrong. Zinnian. Seeing Zinnian suddenly close his eyes, Superman, without hesitation, struck with all his might at the black ring Zinnian was wearing. Bang! The air exploded, and Superman Clark's fist, packed with immense force, was firmly grasped by Zinnian's outstretched right hand. Zinnian, you. Superman Clark's eyes widened in disbelief, his trembling blue pupils reflecting Zinnian's figure. The crimson glow that had been flaring and flickering on the young man's body suddenly froze, strangely transforming into a dark, sinister flame. A dark red, violent energy flashed around, swirling around it. Magic Superman Zinnian slowly opened his eyes, their gaze filled with darkness and violence, and the smile on his lips curled up to a sinister, almost sinister smile. Dot. Snap, clang. Accompanied by a series of shattering wind sounds, Iron Man, Cyborg, Alice, Raven, the Batman, and many other superheroes descended upon the flattened island battlefield. Looks like it's over here, too. Iron Man glanced quickly, seeing Doomsday lying on the ground 100 meters ahead, and Superman and the young man, seemingly shaking hands. Master. Alice, seeing Nian safe and sound, breathed a sigh of relief. She was about to fly forward when the nearby Raven stopped her. Wait, he's not right. The Raven raised its small face, solemnly gazing at the young man shrouded in black energy not far away. What's wrong? Alice glanced at the Raven in surprise. Don't you feel it? This chilling chill. The Raven, like a winter bird, embraced its petite body with its arms. As a descendant of an extra-dimensional demon, it was more sensitive to the aura of energy and laws, and could more easily smell danger in the air. Whoosh! At that moment, a woman, even faster than any other superhero, soared to a position not far behind Superman in the blink of an eye. Her red cape fluttered, her white blonde hair and red dress flowing. Carl, Supergirl called out with a smile. Kara thought, Cousin Carl and Zinnian, these two guys can get along well, right? But Superman, with his back to her, shouted back, don't come over here. Clark's words were filled with urgency and heaviness, startling every superhero on the scene, including Supergirl. They soon understood what had happened. In the center of the battlefield, Magic Superman Zinnian suddenly looked up, his eyes burning red as if branding iron, and two crimson laser beams shot out from his dark pupils. Swish! The two crimson laser beams extended upward, instantly piercing the gloomy sky above the city, and continued outward into outer space, piercing through Earth's neighboring moon until they emerged from behind it and disappeared into the deeper universe. A crisscrossing sky of black thunder struck the metropolis. The nearby sea erupted in whirlpools and surging waves, and the already battered harbor island began to crumble. Superman cried out as his body detached from gravity, soaring upwards. One hand was tightly grasped by Nian, while the other attempted to remove the ring. Nian's handsome face smirked fiercely. His eyes, once pitch black, now burned red as if blazed by rage and lasers, a raging crimson glow within them. Nian lowered his gaze, his fierce gaze fixed on Superman. He suddenly soared upwards and punched Superman squarely in the chest as he attempted to remove the ring. Superman, like a human missile, plunged deep into the earth at the center of the island battlefield. Crack! This blow caused the core of the already devastated island to completely collapse. The magical Superman Nian's eyes glowed crimson, his body shrouded in black lightning as he completely lost control and went berserk. Supergirl Kara suddenly leaped forward at breakneck speed. Her graceful, powerful legs passed under Nian's arms, her red-booted feet clasped around his upper body like a chain. Her belly, clad in her Superman suit, pressed against Nian's face, while her hands, entwined with her superhuman force field, pressed down on the young man's shoulders and head. Nian, calm down. Supergirl Kara urgently called out. Magic Superman Nian showed no reaction. His fury was palpable, as if he were possessed by a being dominated by rage. Supergirl's beautiful features betrayed pain. Nian's mixed energy was corroding her superhuman force field, and Nian's current power far surpassed hers. In an instant, Supergirl felt her body disintegrate. Someone help me! Supergirl cried out. Alice needed no prompting. She, reduced to human size, flew forward and grasped the blackened Nian's left hand tightly. Not only did she possess a body made of vibranium, she also possessed powers comparable to those of a Kryptonian. The superheroes at the scene reacted quickly. I'll do it. I'll do it too. Cyborg and Iron Man, in their armor, flew forward. As representatives of cutting-edge technology, they each grasped the other hand of the blackened Nian in perfect unison. Instantly, Cyborg, with only half of his face visible, and Tony Stark, in his armor, both changed expression. Such terrifying power and energy. Even with Supergirl's body wrapped around Nian's, The two men holding onto a single right hand felt their mechanical components shatter. "We can't hold on!" Cyborg cried out in shame. He and Iron Man combined their engines to rev the young man's left hand, which was still thrashing. As the blackened Nian began to struggle furiously, those restraining him struggled to hold him steady. Snap! A bat claw shot out from the underside of the low-flying bat fighter, grabbing the blackened Nian's left hand. The bat fighter, coordinated with the others, flew backwards and pulled. But the blackened Nian stood still, just over a meter above, his body unmoved. "We're almost at our limit," Iron Man said anxiously. Friday, the artificial intelligence, was already issuing warnings that the Iron Man suit was nearing its limit. "I have to do something." At the edge of the collapsing island, Jessie Quick took a deep breath. She harnessed her speed force, transformed into a streak of lightning, and charged towards the back of blackened Nian. "I can only try, using the powerful electricity generated by running, to see if I can wake him up." With this thought in mind, Jessie Quick ran faster and faster, her body ablaze with powerful lightning. At the same time, a raven phantom flapped its wings, and like Jessie Quick, aimed for the back of blackened Nian's head. And so, at the last moment, when the superheroes could no longer hold on, Jessie Quick, with her powerful electric hands, joined the raven phantom in swooping down and striking Nian in the head. A momentary silence fell on the field. And then, like a mosquito bite, blackened Nian roared with increasing rage. He raised his right foot and stomped down a meter in the air. Boom! A terrifying black energy storm swept out, sending Supergirl, Cyborg, Iron Man, Alice, Raven Shadow, Jessie Quick, the Batfighter, and everything around blackened Nian flying. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479, Gather Together, No One Can Stop Nian. Metropolis. Thunder roared in the sky, and the islands were flooded with seawater. The eyes of the blackened magic Superman Nian were crimson, blazing with rage. With a casual punch or kick, a powerful storm of black energy erupted. All the superheroes and extraordinary beings who tried to stop or awaken Nian were sent flying. No one knew what had happened to the magic Superman Nian. Even the mastermind behind the events, the owner of the black ring on Nian's right hand, was filled with a wave of confusion. Why is this happening? A strange, intelligent mind wavered faintly from the black lantern ring worn on the blackened Nian's right thumb. The Black Death Emperor, behind the scenes, was in disbelief. The resurrection of supervillains like Doomsday was undoubtedly orchestrated by him. He wields the supreme power of the Black Lantern, the very force of death in this universe. The Black Death Emperor can transform any living being who has died and been resurrected, or any deceased person with a remnant of their body, into a Black Lantern puppet. Previously, Lizard, Dr. Octopus, the Abomination of the Dead, the symbiote Carnage, and Doomsday were all resurrected and manipulated by the Black Lanterns. All of this was done to manipulate the current human, Nian Prince, into a Black Lantern puppet. Through Parallax, Death, and countless other deceased supervillains, the Black Lanterns had learned that the most powerful being in the universe wasn't a Green Lantern Corps warrior, nor a Kryptonian living on Earth. Instead, it was a seemingly ordinary young human who could continuously accrue extraordinary powers. Coincidentally, this young human had died once before, making him within the Black Lantern's control. Thus, the Black Lanterns had been orchestrating this, aiming to lure out Nian and transform him into a puppet using the Black Lantern's death power. Everything was going smoothly. But until now, the Black Lanterns couldn't understand why, despite the Black Lantern's effects, they hadn't completely killed the young human. Even he couldn't tell whether he was dead or alive. Furthermore, at the last moment of discovering the Black Lantern, this human youth deliberately shifted his emotions to rage. This rage, crossing the edge of sanity, naturally caused the human youth to lose control and run amok, simultaneously preventing the Black Death Emperor from invading and controlling his now uncontrollably raging, living death body. This rage, like the flames of hell, burned even the Black Death Emperor, unable to suppress or absorb it with the power of the Black Lantern. This was the first time in the universe's history that the Black Death Emperor had encountered a cosmic being wearing a Black Lantern ring that he couldn't control. The Bat Fighter, flying backwards, was unable to dodge and was directly cut in two by the dark red laser, which then exploded into two fireballs. Bang! A seat was launched high, barely avoiding the blast, and Batman escaped in it. Iron Man! Cyborg suddenly shouted, and the engines of his cyborg body fired backwards, forcing it to stop in midair. I know, let's use our full firepower. As Iron Man shouted, his engine ports pointed forward at the blackened Nian. The back of his nano-armor rapidly deformed, forming an energy turret behind him. In the next moment, Cyborg and Iron Man simultaneously unleashed all their strategic weapons, tactical missiles, and laser beams, instantly enveloping the blackened Nian in front of them. Nian's eyes were red with anger, and he clenched his right fist forward. Bang! The black energy fist wave materialized, swirling with destructive electricity, pushing forward layer by layer. The overwhelming barrage of tactical missiles and laser beams vanished in an instant, and the fist wave surged forward, exploding. Cyborg and Iron Man were both blasted off the island and into a swirling sea. Nian. Master. Supergirl and Alice tried to fly forward to stop him. The blackened Nian continued to deliver a series of punches, sending a devastating energy storm blasting and sending the two flying several kilometers into the heart of Metropolis. The blackened Nian cast an angry gaze at Jessie Quick, who was not far away. Hey, no way. You're not going to do this to me. Jessie Quick's scalp tingled. She broke into a sprint, her speed force transforming her into a flash of lightning, tearing through the crumbling ruins of the island. The blackened Nian didn't pursue, but, in his rage, he stomped down. Boom. This kick undoubtedly accelerated the destruction of the harbor island, and the cracked island ground instantly shattered. The entire island collapsed, and Jessie Quick stepped on empty air, his body tumbling into the sea along with the rubble. A harbor island vanished completely. Darkened Nian stood low in the sky, his rage overflowing beneath him, a swirling sea. 100 meters above, Batman, perched on his escape chair, stood stunned, staring at the horrific, apocalyptic scene below. In mere seconds, all the heroes were defeated. Whoosh! Darkened Nian vanished. The next moment, a towering, terrifying young man appeared directly in front of Batman. Under his furious, crimson gaze, Batman felt as if he were sitting in judgment. Faced with such absolute power, even the hope of escape, let alone resistance, was slim. Batman had no chance of resistance. Bang! Darkened Nian's fist, shrouded in energy, descended. In the nick of time, a figure taller than any other on the field, with immense speed, blocked Batman's path. A green-skinned, bald man. A muscular figure, a cape draped over his shoulders. The Martian Manhunter's face was heavy with green. His sturdy arms crossed, and with the aid of his energy shield, he blocked the blow from the darkened Nian. A swish. The powerful force of the punch exploded. The energy shield instantly shattered under the young man's fist. The Martian Manhunter gritted his teeth, blood oozing from the corners of his mouth, and drops of blood gushed from the muscles of his bulging arms as he blocked the blow. Despite the immense difficulty, he managed to block it. But what made the Martian Manhunter's face turn green was the angry, dark young man in front of him, a monster more destructive than Doomsday, who swung another fist down. How could he block this second punch? Boom! A sudden thunderclap echoed from the sky. A paunchy, bearded man, grasping a metal-bladed axe with a wooden vine handle, brought it down with both hands. The silver armor he barely wore was shrouded in crackling lightning. The axe's sharp blade slashed right under the darkened Nian's second punch. The wooden-handled axe and the dark fist collided, creating a clanging sound of metal clashing. Chapter 480 Wonder Woman, Ant to the Rescue. Zizzy. Black energy fists clashed with blue lightning. Thor was stunned to discover that the Storm Axe, the supreme artifact of the Asgardians, was incapable of inflicting any harm on the young man. Furthermore, Thor felt a startling surge of force flowing through the axe handle, causing sharp pain in his knuckles, nearly causing him to lose his grip on the supreme artifact. I should have exercised more. The flesh on Thor's face trembled, and he suddenly regretted his 5 years of neglect. 5 years ago, although he had obtained the Storm Axe and used it to defeat his sister Hela, the Asgardian realm, his brother Loki, and many of his fellow Asgardians had been lost in that Protoss conflict. Dejected, Thor relocated the surviving Asgardians to Earth, where he spent his days drowning his sorrows in alcohol. Thor's veins bulged as he gripped the Storm Axe tightly, preventing it from flying. But the other party was clearly too powerful, stronger than his sister Hela, and anyone he had ever encountered. Even if he hadn't been depressed, he probably wouldn't have been able to suppress him. This is too perverted. When did such a person appear on Earth? Thor looked up at the uncontrollable and violent young man, and was quickly stunned. It was him. 5 years ago, on the cliff where his father died, he had forced his sister Hela back. He had clearly grown from a boy to a young man. Wait? Thor saw a second shadow in the young man, the figure in the silver spider suit that had appeared on the battlefield in New York 8 years ago and defeated Loki. So it's you. Thor's eyes flashed with understanding. He had encountered this man not just once, but countless times since those 8 years. However, he always appeared with different appearances, identities, and even abilities, leaving behind one unexplainable name after another. The storm raged, and the energy was raging. The blackened magic superhero, Nian, unleashed a powerful punch, sending Martian Manhunter, the recently arrived former Justice League leader, and Thor, the former Avengers leader, flying hundreds of meters. Batman, using his bat cape to glide at a distance, gained some distance. Nian's eyes, red, were about to pursue, but as if sensing something, he glanced up in anger. It was dusk, and the dark, cloud-covered sky suddenly parted. A light-polluted figure, radiating dazzling rainbow light, plummeted from outer space. Its fist, clad in a spacesuit, lashed out with a stream of multicolored light, striking the blackened Nian. Naturally, the blackened Nian, enraged, swung his fist in response. Buzz! Up and down, a collision like Mars hitting Earth. A wave of multicolored and dark red energy spread outward, shockwaves covering the entire sky above Metropolis, shattering every glass object within the city limits. I say, Nian, what the hell happened to you? The woman in the spacesuit, shrouded in a rainbow of light, raised a heroic brow, a look of worry and solemnity on her face. She was about 30 years old, with beautiful, well-defined features, her golden hair cascading down her shoulders, and her tight-fitting spacesuit revealing her curvaceous figure. At this moment, the woman's mature and slender body continuously radiated powerful, multicolored cosmic energy, enveloping her entire body. Carol. Supergirl flew back to the sky above the ocean vortex and called out to the woman in the spacesuit. Kara, I just got back from space. What's going on? Captain Marvel Carol Danvers asked gravely. She had returned to Earth once before, 5 years prior, when she met Nian and Kara Danvers, the daughter of Krypton, who was fostered by her biological parents. Captain Marvel Carol exchanged punches and energy waves with the darkened Nian, clearly feeling her own binary star mode being suppressed by him. This powerful and sinister force far surpasses any enemy beyond space. I don't know. Regardless, we must stop him first. Even as Supergirl Kara spoke, Captain Marvel Carol was forced backward. Swoosh. At that moment, a golden rope formed from magical energy appeared and bound around the arm of the darkened Nian. A Martian portal appeared nearby, and a wizard draped in a blue magic cape flew out, releasing a magical rope from his hand. Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Stephen Strange gazed at Nian gravely. Stop. At the end of the railing at the Metropolis harbor, a purple-haired woman in a sexy magician's outfit stood there. Her magical eyes darted forward at the sky above, rapidly uttering strange inverted words. Immediately, an invisible magical effect was cast upon the darkened Nian, restricting his movements. Zatanna. Batman glanced at the magician. They're all here. 5 years later. Numerous former Justice League and Avengers heroes, including some from the Destiny Alliance, converged on the current battlefield in Metropolis. Bang! Superman burst forth from the ocean floor, stirring up waves. Following suit, Cyborg and Iron Man, who had just fallen into the sea, also restarted their engines and soared out. Take off that dark ring from his right hand. Superman warned immediately. Upon hearing this, everyone on the scene simultaneously focused their attention on the black ring on the young man's right thumb. Go. Without hesitation, Thor, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Alice, Raven, Cyborg, and Iron Man all charged at the darkened Nian. Doctor Strange, Zatanna, and Captain Marvel continued to suppress him with all their might. Get out of my way. Give Lorna back. The enraged darkened Nian roared, his roar rising like a wave, deafening the entire city of Metropolis. At that moment, streams of black energy gushed out from the blackened Nian, each one a scaled-down version of Nian's form. Suddenly, dozens of magical superheroes, Nian, appeared in the air. Retreat. It's the Arcan form. Doctor Strange exclaimed in horror. The Arcan form spell doesn't create clones, but rather a phantom incarnation, capable of only one attack. But the Arcan form, combined with the blackened superheroes. At that moment, facing the approaching superheroes, dozens of blackened Nian angrily swung their fists, unleashing their powerful mode. Boom. 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 Dark flames and thunder rip everything apart, sending even Captain Marvel and Superman flying. The superheroes who hadn't yet approached, including Captain Marvel, were sent flying backwards. Thor's Stormbreaker flew out of his hand, Iron Man's armor cracked and shattered. Doctor Strange fell, cape and body alike. Martian Manhunter's blue cape ripped apart, and Cyborg's body was shrouded in a galvanic vortex. Supergirl and Alice embraced each other. Several kilometers away, Zatanna, standing on the harbor dock, collapsed to the ground, her inversions failing. No one could stop her. Above the black vortex, a young man stood alone in the air, his eyes burning with rage, charging like a wounded beast. Suddenly, a dreamy purple light rippled in the air not far behind the blackened Nian. The purple light outlined the perfect, mature and moving curves of a woman. Her face was breathtaking, her figure tall and slender, her breasts prominent and alluring, her limbs long and graceful, and her skin, exposed to the air, was a flawless, luminous white. The woman spoke with a hint of resignation and tenderness, her lips parted. You say you've grown up. No matter what, you're still a child who makes people worry. Chapter 481 Blackened Nian vs. Wonder Woman. Metropolis. A gloomy sky, thunder and lightning intertwined, the earth shook violently, the sea was filled with underwater whirlpools, and energy storms raged everywhere. It was a scene of apocalypse. Superman, Thor, Iron Man, Cyborg, Supergirl, Alice, Captain Marvel, Martian Manhunter, Doctor Strange, countless heroes from the former Justice League and Avengers were sent flying backwards. The harbor island had completely sunk. Only a young man, eyes ablazing, violent red, his body ablaze with sinister, ominous black flames, and bursting with violent black lightning, stood alone high above the island's former site. Wearing a black light, Magic Superman, transformed into a dark man, lost his mind, roaring and growling in rage, like a human-shaped demon Doomsday, attacking every creature in sight. You say you've grown up. No matter what, you're always a worrying child. As a dreamy purple light shone high above the battlefield, a female figure wearing an armored dress and carrying a divine sword emerged. Not far from the battlefield, Zatanna, slumped on the ground at the Metropolis harbor dock, raised her eyes with difficulty. Diana. Suddenly appearing on the battlefield was none other than Wonder Woman Diana Prince. However, beneath her silver crown, Diana's long, lustrous purple hair was concealed. She wore her usual red armor and blue dress, and wielded two divine swords, one gold and one silver. Furthermore, the purple ring on Wonder Woman's left hand resembled a small, ring-shaped, brilliant purple lamp. The radiant purple light shone like a veil over her body, her form blending seamlessly with the purple light, her curves etched in her every move. Elegance and luxury permeated her already perfect features, a beauty so stunning that it was almost blinding. Kill the Celestials? Kill them all. The darkened Nian growled, his blazing red eyes threatening to erupt with molten lava, transforming into a surging black stream of light that swept towards Wonder Woman, who had appeared behind him. Wonder Woman's purple eyes shone with wisdom and solemnity. She instantly raised her sleek left arm, a round dark gold shield appearing from the back of her wrist. Her dark fist, carrying boundless power, instantly struck the shield. Clang. The collision of fist and shield resonated with a dull, bell-like sound, and shockwaves erupted from the two of them in cascading waves. The shield, one of Wonder Woman Diana's divine weapons, had accompanied her since the First World War. As a defensive artifact, it had withstood blows from gods, outer gods, and even Doomsday. For centuries, this shield had clearly outlasted Captain America's vibranium visor. But now, facing the full force of the darkened Nian's punch, the shield erupted with divine power as bright as daylight, quickly suppressing the surge. Chi-Chi. Crimson magic, superhuman force, and the power of the Black Lantern, this punch was even more powerful and terrifying than the previous one. Even Captain Marvel, Martian Manhunter, and Clark, Superman, didn't believe they could withstand it. Under this fist, brimming with a fusion of death and destruction, the divine power surging within the divine shield quickly dimmed and vanished, and cracks began to appear on the ancient and mysterious shield. The divine shield, a Greek artifact, could no longer withstand the pressure and shattered. The young man, like a frenzied humanoid beast, his handsome face now shone with a ferocious ferocity. Without even catching his breath, he continued to unleash his power, his very presence causing the natural order around him to collapse. "Thank you for all your hard work, old friend." Wonder Woman bid a gentle farewell to the shield in her left hand. At the last moment, as the shield completely shattered, she decisively swung her free right hand towards blackened Nian. Whoosh! A golden lasso emerged from the clouds like a dawn dragon, swirling around blackened Nian with lightning speed, binding his limbs. And that was not all. A stream of purple light emanated from Wonder Woman's body. A mysterious substance, amethyst, transformed from the virtual to the real, and together with a golden lasso, trapped the dark-haired Nian. Crackling. The divine shield lost its divine glow and shattered into dozens of fragments. Wonder Woman's left hand, adorned with a ring, reached forward. With one hand, she used the power of the purple lamp to construct and suppress the amethyst, while with her right hand, she tightly grasped one end of the lasso of truth. "Bad boy, you can't even recognize your end." Diana's beautiful eyes gazed at the dark-haired youth, bound and restrained by the golden lasso and the purple crystal, whispering to herself without any reprimand. "If this keeps up, I'm going to get mad." The darkened Indian struggled violently, his crimson eyes shooting two crimson rays that struck the inner wall of the amethyst. Hissing. The amethyst began to corrode and fuse bit by bit. But this was already astonishing enough. After all, facing heat rays enhanced by multiple powers, even a vibranium shield would be pierced and melted in a matter of seconds. "Alright. If you come to your senses, I won't teach you a lesson, okay?" Wonder Woman Diana pulled the lasso of truth back, channeling her thoughts through it. The darkened Indian showed no reaction. He had completely lost his mind, lost in rage. With a sizzle. As the darkened magic Superman Indian struggled, the lasso of truth was repeatedly stretched apart by his hands and feet, cracking the purple crystal from the inside out. "Oh no, she can't hold on any longer." Zatanna, observing this, struggled to stand, grasping the dock railing. "Miss Diana!" cried the silver-haired girl Alice, flying out of the underwater vortex. She knew that the person in the world least wanted to face her master was Miss Diana. Facing the lasso about to stretch and the cracked amethyst, Wonder Woman slowly raised her right hand, passed it over her shoulder, and grasped the hilt of the Sword of Fire. Ahem. The Sword of Fire emitted a clear chime, but whereas it had always been a chime of battle spirit, this time it sounded like a mournful wail. Facing the impending blackened Zinnian, Wonder Woman drew her Vulcan sword. "Miss Diana! Don't!" Alice, tears streaming down her face, soared from the sea, attempting to stop the clash, but Alice, she was too late. Boom! The storm of dark energy erupted once more. Blackened Zinnian, freed from the golden lasso and purple crystal, swung his fist towards Wonder Woman's chest. As if making her own decision, Wonder Woman swung down the gleaming Vulcan sword. Dot. Plop. The silver sword plummeted from the sky, plunging into the churning sea below. At that moment, the battlefield suddenly became unprecedentedly calm. Blackened Zinnian continued swinging his fist, his body frozen slightly in the air. A slender, white arm encircled his neck, shrouded in destructive flames. The woman's other arm slipped under his arm, embracing his back. "You're all right now, with Auntie here," Diana whispered softly, hugging Blackened Zinnian tightly. Chapter 482 Goodbye, my love. The two, engaged in a battle a moment ago, suddenly embraced. Why is this happening? Even the Black Death Emperor, the Lord of the Black Lanterns, was baffled by the scene. At the last moment, the demigod woman had released the Vulcan sword, her bare hands unfurling as she flew unguarded towards the young man. Even more astonishing to the Black Death Emperor was the fact that, in that moment, Nian, in a strange state of half-life and half-alive, losing control in utter rage, should have violently punched through the opponent's body. Instead, he paused without warning, allowing the demigod woman to close in. The Black Death Emperor, possessing control over the laws of death and darkness in this universe, felt a strange sense of powerlessness. Everything was clearly unfolding in a direction he could not have anticipated. It was as if all the laws of order and the mysteries of the universe were powerless against the young human being. He was an anomaly in this universe. "I'm here, nothing's going to happen." Wonder Woman Diana hugged the darkened Zinnian tightly, her perfect profile pressed against the young man's, her purple hair beneath her moon crown flowing before her eyes. Purple-haired Diana coaxed, softly, "Just now, I was just saying that. How could I possibly be angry with you? If you truly did something wrong, it's my fault, and I will face it with you." Diana's eyes held a tender yet resolute expression. She held the darkened Nian's left hand behind her. The purple lantern ring on her ring finger shone with dazzling purple light, enveloping them both. Darkened Nian's eyes were still ablaze, his inner rage still blazing, yet a hint of bewilderment lingered. He stood motionless, like a statue of a dark god, high in the sky, letting Wonder Woman hold him. His raised left fist hovered in the air, unable to strike. Unable to strike the woman before him. Was the body's instinct, even the soul's, trying to stop the attack on the woman in question? A sizzle. Steam rose. The red heat in the corners of the blackened Nian's eyes faded slightly. Then, Nian, Sorcerer Supreme, Cyborg, Doctor Strange, and the others took off again, trying to help suppress the attack. Before they could reach him, the blackened Nian, who had previously calmed down, suddenly shook. His eyes once again sparked with furious rage, and black energy surged from his body. "Danger, stay away," Wonder Woman quickly warned. The superheroes at the scene paused in midair. "Kill! Kill them all!" The blackened magic Superman Nian roared furiously. He didn't attack Wonder Woman, but he still struggled in response. With a swish, the blackened Nian became a human-shaped infinite energy field. From his body, destructive black energy waves radiated outward. Above the murky waters that had collapsed the island, pitch-black lightning and storms raged. The superheroes were instantly forced to retreat 100 meters. This black energy, a blend of crimson magic and the power of the Black Lantern, would corrode even Superman's Man of Steel and Superman's force field. "Miss Diana." Alice looked worriedly at the center of the storm. Besides Dark Nian, Wonder Woman remained within. At this moment, in the very center of the energy storm, Dark Nian struggled fiercely, his every move bringing disaster and destruction to everything around him. The light emitted by the purple lantern ring dimmed within the dark storm. Strands of purple hair snapped and shattered nearby. The aura of death lingered, undoubtedly causing even a demigod to disintegrate and die. Despite this, Diana's face remained as calm as ever, her violet eyes gleaming with wisdom and even a touch of tenderness. "It's okay, it's okay." Diana gently patted Dark Nian's back with her left hand, reassuring him, "Trust me, Auntie. Everything will be fine. I know you've been under a lot of pressure these past few years." Outside the black energy storm, the faces of the superheroes on the scene were solemn. Even those near the edge of the storm could feel the burning and stinging sensation on their skin. It was easy to imagine how arduous the situation inside the energy storm was. Martian Manhunter gazed at Wonder Woman within the storm and said in a deep voice, "She won't last much longer in there. She'll die if this continues." "We have to do something," Doctor Strange replied, using his imitation magic levitation cape to soar. "I'll get her out," Supergirl Kara said as she quickly took off, about to plunge into the black energy storm. "I'll go too." Alice followed suit. Before they could enter the energy storm, a phantom raven and a magic cat appeared, intercepting Supergirl and Alice respectively. "Zatanna." Supergirl turned back in surprise, looking towards the harbor. A few kilometers away, a woman in a magician's uniform was seen holding onto the harbor railing. Zatanna coughed and said weakly but firmly, "I won't let you through." "Why?" Supergirl asked, hearing Zatanna's voice. "Since Diana did this, she must have her reasons." Zatanna gazed at Wonder Woman, embracing the darkened Nian, in the distant storm. "Trust her. No one understands Nian better than she does. If we can't even awaken her, then we can't do it either." "Raven, do you think so too?" Alice looked at the raven shadow blocking her way. The raven-like shadow nodded, soaring through the air and turning its head in the direction of the darkened Nian. Raven had actually been searching for something. That was her purpose in returning to this dimension and being reborn as a human. However, after years of searching, she had no clue. Until she met Nian again. Until she saw the Wonder Woman she had once dreamed of in her youth. Raven had a strong premonition that perhaps the thing she had been searching for was happening right now, within the energy storm that repelled and annihilated everything. Purple-haired Diana embraced the blackened Nian, the core of the catastrophe. Her entire body was coated in a layer of purple crystal, but cracks began to appear under the ravages of the dark energy. Perhaps, in the next second, The energy would shatter the crystal, crushing her body along with it. But Diana showed no reaction, nor did she let go of Xinian or retreat. "It's been a long time since I last held you. I've probably been a week." Diana smiled, ignoring the cracked amethyst. This moment was no different from all those years ago. As if a stove were burning nearby, Diana calmly and gently held Xinian in her arms, whispering stories of the gods past, the truths and secrets of the sea and beyond. Crack! The amethyst crystal cracked again. Diana, like a beautiful yet fragile work of art, struggled to hold the blackened Xinian's body. "It seems I can't talk to you much," Diana whispered softly. "But you just need to understand one thing." Crack! The cracks in the amethyst on her body formed an overlapping spiderweb, poised to shatter completely. Diana's words were forced to quicken. "Xinian, just remember this. No matter what you become in the future, no matter what state you are in, you are the one I love most. This one thing will never change. I will always be your aunt, and you will always be my family. No matter what happens, we will be together." Before Diana could finish her words, a crack. The amethyst on her body shattered completely, transforming into dazzling purple fluorescence that danced in the storm. A crystal tear fell on Xinian's face. Chapter 483 The Death of the Goddess, the Sad Blackened Nian. In magic Superman mode, wearing the Black Lantern ring, the darkened Nian was clearly impervious to anything. Even powerful beings like Superman and Captain Marvel, or objects as sturdy as Divine Shield and Vibranium, would be destroyed by the black fusion energy if they approached Xinian. And now, at the center of the eruption of the black energy flames and storm, a crystal-clear droplet of water, devoid of any power or energy, fell unhindered directly onto the darkened Xinian's face, which was now slightly grimacing with extreme anger. A sizzle. Like a red-hot iron, a wisp of white smoke rose from the corner of his eye, but it failed to annihilate and evaporate the droplet. Instead, the droplet slid down from the corner of the young man's eye, making it look like the darkened Xinian was shedding tears. Tears flowed down the curve of Xinian's delicate face, reaching the corners of his mouth, which was widened with an angry roar. The darkened Xinian suddenly stopped in midair. His furious, crimson eyes reflected the scene before him. He watched the amethyst shatter into a fiery glow, the flawless god slowly close his eyes, the lustrous purple hair and radiant skin ignite, along with the elegant, noble crimson armor and dress. The most beautiful things in the world were dissipating. Clang. A soft, crisp sound. The silver crown, as radiant as the bright moon, shattered into countless fragments under the onslaught of dark energy. Her silky purple hair suddenly blossomed, unrestrained like a violet flower, only to be quickly covered by black flames. Crack! The golden sword hung from Wonder Woman's shoulder, the sword of Odin, broke into pieces, scabbard and all. Buzz! Gently but firmly holding Xinian's back, the amethyst ring on it cracked. The lamp ring, once brighter than fire, extinguished, its purple light rapidly dimming under the onslaught of darkness. Diana's arms, which had been clinging tightly to the blackened Xinian, lost their strength. She closed her eyes completely, her body enveloped in darkness as she was swept away by a powerful storm of black energy. Outside the energy storm. The worst has happened. Martian Manhunter, soaring above the sea, gazed up at the black storm that obscured his view. He spoke with deep regret. Wonder Woman's vital signs are steadily declining. Clearly, she has failed. Master, Miss Diana. Alice clenched her fists. Though she couldn't see, she could sense that Diana's vital signs had plummeted to levels even lower than those of an ordinary human. How is that possible? Zatanna, standing on the dock, was devastated. Her voluptuous figure teetered beneath her magic hat, and she bit her lower lip. Diana. Supergirl, with a sudden burst of energy, sped forward at top speed, attempting to plunge into the storm. Whoosh! In a flash, Superman Clark, flying at breakneck speed, grabbed Supergirl. "Cousin, please let me go. No matter what, at least let me get Wonder Woman out." Supergirl Kara struggled. "It's too late for you to go now," Superman bluntly stated. "But if I don't do anything, how will I face him later?" Supergirl Kara struggled to break free from Clark's grasp, transforming into a shadow, breaking the sound barrier and plunging into the storm. Superman sighed. Things had clearly reached a point where they couldn't get any worse. Now, they should consider how to suppress the out-of-control, darkened Xinian. Amidst the raging, increasingly terrifying dark storm, the purple-haired goddess, previously clad in Greek godly attire, wise and powerful, seemed like a beacon unlit on the night sea, a fragile kite drifting at will in the black energy storm. Then, a hand forcibly tore through the black energy storm and grasped the goddess' left hand, whose hair was turning white again. A pair of crimson eyes, filled with rage and fury, emerged from the darkness. Nian grasped Diana's left hand. At that moment, he felt something explode within him. An emotion welled up from the depths of his soul, suppressing the rage that had surged to its limit. It was the emotion of sorrow. No matter how furious he was, no matter how out of control he felt, Nian remained conscious of the fact that he was losing the most important thing, something 1,000 times more valuable than his reputation, wealth, ability, life, even his soul. It was something he absolutely could not afford to lose. "Goodbye, my love." Nian suddenly heard the woman's last words, which she hadn't uttered yet. A sizzle. White steam emanated from his crimson eyes, the burning heat fading from the corners of his eyes, and sadness transformed into mist. Nian, reversing his previous outburst of rage, took the woman's hand and embraced her once again. This time, however, he was the one who took the initiative. Darkened Nian took the woman's left hand, his other arm reaching forward to cup her slender, exposed waist, and lowering his head. He kissed those pale, dry lips, just as he had for years. "How could I possibly forget you? How could I possibly lose you?" When Darkened Nian and Wonder Woman's figures reunited, the shattered, extinguished ring on Wonder Woman's left hand shone once again under Darkened Nian's hand, and this time, the purple light was even brighter than before. The piercing purple light, like sunlight, shattered the surrounding black clouds. The purple light burst forth from the black energy storm at dawn, visible not only to the superheroes on the field but also to the main district of Metropolis, the distant city of Gotham, and even to the other side of the world. The pure, luminous purple glow was like a star, visible from the depths of the universe. What the hell is going on? The superheroes on the field were stunned. Supergirl, struggling to break through the black storm, also paused. "What is this?" Supergirl Kara opened her beautiful eyes wide. At the heart of the black storm, the blackened Nian and Wonder Woman had vanished. In their place, a massive purple crystal appeared. It was 3 meters long and 2 meters wide, radiating purple light like a miniature sun. Nian, Miss Diana. Even Supergirl Kara's clairvoyance couldn't penetrate the outer layer of the purple crystal, but she was certain that Nian and Wonder Woman were inside. Furthermore, Supergirl Kara truly thought this amethyst was incredibly beautiful. Fear and confusion connect our hearts, and sleep alone is difficult in the darkest night. A slender finger enters the ring, transforming your complexion. The world's lonely love fills the air with purple light. Nian faintly heard a voice echo in his ear, and his anger and sadness were completely suppressed by a beautiful emotion. He suddenly realized what he had nearly lost. And so, the young man, fearful, continued to lower his head and kiss her, repeatedly tracing his path down her beautiful chin. Chapter 484. It's hard to sleep alone in the darkest night. You are worth it. Over the former harbor island of Metropolis. Across a kilometer of the ocean, a residual energy storm maintained its prescribed rhythm, swirling like a cosmic black hole, brewing destruction and death, transforming this place into a dark forbidden zone. Yet, in the center of this dark forbidden zone, shrouded in thunder and storm, stood a singular, large purple crystal. Pure, flawless amethyst radiated a dazzling brilliance. Within this dead sea of the dark forbidden zone, it seemed as if an eternal purple lamp stood tall. "So beautiful," Raven muttered, her shadowy figure, almost transparent in the purple light. "Yes, it's truly beautiful," Captain Marvel echoed. The dazzling brilliance of her binary star mode was already dazzling enough, but the purple light was even brighter. Furthermore, this shimmer of purple light was so dazzling that not only Raven and Captain Marvel, but the other superheroes present were also filled with awe at the sight. The existence of the purple crystal. Or perhaps it was something so pure and beautiful that the symbolism it represented was so pure and beautiful, so pure that even the superheroes present, their previous tension and stress washed away, exclaiming in heartfelt admiration. Amidst the utter darkness of the all-consuming energy storm, the radiant purple crystal remained untouched or tainted. Against a backdrop of death and destruction, this beauty was undoubtedly breathtaking. Within the purple crystal, the fierce crimson glow in Nian's eyes faded, transforming into a rational and brilliant shard of gold, from which tenderness and love flowed like a river. Under his kiss, the woman's white hair gradually took on a purple sheen, Her dry, wrinkled lips softened, her skin, burned by the black energy, regained its luminous whiteness, and her once motionless, thick eyelashes trembled gently. With slow, powerful movements, Nian took the woman's hand, grasped her back, and completely embraced her. Buzz! The purple crystal, enveloping them both, shone through the darkness, illuminating the purple lantern ring that reached the depths of the universe. The cracked amethyst embedded in it healed at a visible speed, soon becoming flawless. Nian felt his kisses taking effect, and he couldn't help but work harder. Wee! The woman suddenly let out an incredibly endearing cry. Her thick, jet-black eyelashes fluttered, and soon a pair of beautiful amethyst eyes appeared. The moment they opened, those beautiful purple eyes still held the hazy, dazed feeling of newly awakened. Combined with the endearing cry, they exuded an indescribable naivete. This naivete came from a goddess of the amethyst goddess, a woman of perfect stature, tall, elegant, and noble. Nian felt he was about to burst. Is this really Diana Prince? This is too cute. The rare naivete in Wonder Woman's beautiful eyes was quickly replaced by wisdom, determination, and composure. Seeing Nian sliding down against her body, especially with his divine armor and artifacts already destroyed, her beautiful face blushed. She met Nian's questioning gaze. Diana couldn't help but frown. She clamped her long legs together, raised her smooth arms, and tapped the young man's brow with her fingers. Get up. Nian did get up, but then he pulled Diana back into his arms. From childhood, you taught me to be strategic and thoughtful. Nian took a deep breath and looked up into Diana's eyes. But this time, why didn't you think about it? I almost lost you. Nian's mind collapsed. Even thinking about it, Nian felt an unprecedented panic and fear. Just one step away, he would lose the most important existence in this world he had traveled to. Nian was covered in cold sweat, and his soul trembled. Okay, isn't it all over now? Diana's heroic brow revealed a unique tenderness. She looked directly at Nian and said firmly, also, this is the decision I made after careful consideration. Even if it happened 1,000 times, 10,000 times, I would choose to do this again. Because, you're worth it. At this, Diana's rosy lips couldn't help but curl up. She was still feeling grateful for the right decision she had made. Even if the artifact was destroyed, even if she herself perished, even if she paid the price. If she could get him back, even if there was just a glimmer of hope. This deal, which others would consider extremely cruel, was simply worth it to Wonder Woman. Because it was worth it, it was worth it. You dare to be so stubborn. Without you, it doesn't matter whether I'm out of control or sane. Nian's own anger surged again, and he immediately decided to soften his stance. Not here. The usually calm and composed Greek goddess Diana panicked. There are many heroes and familiar faces waiting outside. Nian soothed, they've been waiting for so long, it doesn't matter if they wait any longer. He couldn't help but say, don't worry, they can't see what's inside the amethyst. A hint of helplessness flickered in Diana's beautiful eyes. It was precisely because of this that I couldn't be more worried, okay? It seems things have taken a turn. Martian Manhunter, standing outside the storm, gazed solemnly at the amethyst in the storm's eye. But the energy storm continues. This battle is clearly not over yet, Dr. Strange said, his cape floating in the air as he continued to cast spells, ready for the next round. He regretted having lost the time stone, unable to see the next developments of this extraordinary event from the various timelines. Supergirl Kara, who had retreated outside the Black Storm, continued to watch with her cousin Superman, her cousin Captain Marvel, and other superheroes like Batman, Iron Man, and Cyborg, hoping for a positive outcome. And so, another 10 minutes passed. With a humming sound, the amethyst, shrouded in a storm of energy, suddenly shattered from the inside out. As everyone watched in astonishment, only a young man emerged. Wonder Woman Diana was nowhere to be seen. The energy aura emanating from the young man was noticeably more intense than before, his hair swaying like a brilliant purple-red flame. Besides the capital S-shaped flame totem on his chest, he now bore a golden ring of fire formed by interlocking ropes, and a white moon-shaped crown, formed from a mixture of divine energy, hung upon his head. One black, one purple. The glow of the two rings on his right hand intertwined and counteracted each other, creating a kind of equilibrium. Nian, how are you feeling now? Supergirl Kara asked the young man in the storm, a hint of anticipation in her eyes. The young man calmly replied, I'm angry. Angry? The faces of the superheroes on the field changed drastically. Still coming? Chapter 485, Nian resurrects from the darkness. How could one describe this image? Dawn broke, beneath a starry sky, on the surging sea. A purple-haired young man stood amidst a storm of black energy, his terrifying golden eyes blazing with a brilliant flame. Purple-red flames formed a fused energy garment. Atop his chest rested the totem of the Kryptonian race, and upon his head hung the silver-white moon crown of the Amazon royal family. The undestroyed Greek artifact, the lasso of truth, formed the magical sigil of the sorcerer clan, resembling a small sun at the young man's back. The light of the black and purple lantern rings intertwined and clashed. Black and purple lightning flashed from his left hand. The recurring cycle of death and rebirth highlighted the young man's perfectly proportioned figure, cut to the golden ratio. Anyone who beheld him would be struck by impeccable perfection, as if witnessing the very essence of the universe's beauty and power. Perhaps, this was the true divine being humanity had imagined since ancient times, fulfilling its innermost fantasies. But this time, on the field, a host of superheroes faced the purple-haired young man, emerging from the purple crystal. The Martian Manhunter, freed from Earth's gravity, soared, his green hands condensing energy. Thor, Punchy, once again gripped the wooden-handled, metal-bladed Stormbreaker in his right hand. Cyborg and Iron Man, using their own engines, surged out of the ocean floor, their lasers and missiles locked on almost simultaneously. Batman, piloting a dark, beetle-shaped combat vehicle, emerged from the seabed, stirring up waves. Doctor Strange's robotic hands gestured, and magical clones and golden threads of magic emerged in the air. Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, flashed with colorful lightning in her eyes, her entire body surging with the binary power of the Space Stone. Raven, transformed into spirit form, or perhaps her true essence, flapped its wings, as black as night, its shadowy form seemingly fading into space. Zatanna, recalling her magic hat, supported herself with her wand. She still couldn't believe Diana was dead, but all traces of her life and existence had vanished. Jesse Quick, who had sunk with the island, stood drenched in water halfway covered in seawater. His suit's hood had vanished, revealing a beautiful, pale face. Lightning flickered again. The silver-haired girl, Alice, a perfect artificial being transformed from artificial intelligence, stood bewildered and stunned high in the sky for the first time. Beside her, Superman Clark, with a wry smile, clenched his fists again, and Superwoman Kara Danvers. Under the night sky, as the fiery sun sank below the horizon, the once vibrant red cape faded to darker crimson, and her shining white blonde hair faded to darker gold. Nian, don't let me despair. A hint of sadness settled in her beautiful, heroic brows. Superwoman Kara clenched her fists, then unclenched them, then clenched them again, her nails digging into her dark-gloved palms. Under the anxious, tense, and stern gazes of the superheroes, Nian, imbued with the Wonder Woman's demigod powers, suddenly raised his right hand. Buzz! The purple ring radiated a myriad of purple beams, shattering the lingering energy storm. The purple ring's light shone like a beacon on the sea, gradually breaking through and suppressing the darkness. In the blink of an eye, the energy storm that had blocked the superheroes' approach was swept away. The deep blue sea, restored from the turbidity of the sinking island, once again merged unobstructed with the starry sky. This sudden scene naturally exceeded the expectations of the superheroes present. After all, many superheroes had already prepared for their own demise. Nian! Kara exclaimed in disbelief, her voice trembling. Nian, who had dispelled the darkness with his purple light, nodded at her. Good evening, Kara. Whoosh! The afterimage of a flying figure in a red battlesuit and the petite silver figure of a girl streaked across the sky. Kara and Alice, almost simultaneously, threw themselves into Nian's arms, one on each side. Don't be impatient, slow down. Nian smiled, opening his arms and effortlessly embracing the two. If not for his current state, he would have been sent flying for kilometers. It's you, you're really back, Supergirl whimpered, gently punching Nian's chest with her fist. The fused energy lingering around Nian cleverly enveloped Kara's body, though this time, it didn't hurt her at all. Master, welcome back. Alice cried joyfully and excitedly. She looked nothing like an artificial intelligence, much less a cyborg, but a genuine young woman. I'm sorry to have worried you. Nian smiled, holding each of them in one hand, and then kissing Kara and Alice on the forehead. Not far away, the superheroes watching this scene were stunned for a moment, then all breathed a sigh of relief. "You're playing with my heartbeat, aren't you?" Captain Marvel helplessly patted her forehead, a natural smile spreading across her heroic face. "This kid really is." Superman Clark couldn't help but grin. "Great, this is truly wonderful." Cyborg leaped for joy, hugging Iron Man, who stood beside him, his engines and laser cannons blazing. Tony Stark, inside his suit, shrugged, his immediate warning a dismissive tone. "Hey, young man. Let go of those mechanical claws, or I can't guarantee I'll blast you." However, a smile played on his lips, a smile more like one of relief. It wasn't just because the current crisis had been resolved. More importantly, it was because Iron Man, at that moment, suddenly recalled the many extraordinary events he had encountered in the past. Questions that had once remained unanswered, now found their answers in the young man known as Nian Prince. A black kitten, an invisible being, a silver god. The middle-aged, gray-haired Iron Man, Tony Stark, muttered to himself, finally letting out a relieved smile. This way, there was really no way to defeat them. Did it the Justice League next door, and countless other superheroes combined, fail to defeat them? Iron Man felt that the biggest worry in his superhero career had finally been lifted. It's time to consider retirement, if that little Spider-Man is still around. "Excuse me, everyone." Nian embraced Kara and Alice, looking at the many superheroes on the field. Doctor Strange, using a pseudo-magic levitation cloak, flew forward and said with a reassuring smile, "Sorcerer Supreme, I'm glad you're okay. If you're in trouble, then so are we." These words truly resonated with the hearts of many superheroes on the field. Just now, even if they joined forces, they had no confidence they could defeat Nian in his current form. Only by standing against him could one truly feel that despair. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 Love and Hate, Purple Lantern Demon Mode. Nian, what exactly happened just now? Superman Clark asked in a deep voice, his gaze still solemn as he fell upon the black rings Nian wore. Nian glanced down at the lantern ring on his thumb. "If I'm not mistaken, this is the so-called Black Lantern." Black Lantern. Superman and the other superheroes on the field were stunned. "Yes, the Black Lantern ring," Nian nodded. He recalled 5 years ago, when he was a spirit inhabiting a stuffed bear. Back then, Nian had once asked his sister, "Who controls the rules of death in my universe?" Having died at the hands of the goddess of death, Nian was wary of those who controlled the rules of death. After all, the rules of death's attacks were too difficult to defeat, even super mode couldn't prevent death. Nian remembered. At that time, the elder sister's face was as calm and elegant as ever. She held a small black umbrella, tucked herself into her arms, and swayed the cross necklace and bracelet on her chest as she replied, "No one can control death. Death is just a concept in the multiverse. It has existed since the creation of countless multiverses. It's just that. For every independent universe entity, over trillions of years, there are always a few beings who have glimpsed the rules derived from the concept of death, and are able to transcend life and death and enter eternity." The teddy bear Nian seemed thoughtful. "Just like our human ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, they occasionally obtained firewood struck by lightning, and this borrowed a power called flame." "I guess so." The elder sister nodded slightly, her lips parted. "In your universe, there are indeed a few beings who have glimpsed death and borrowed power from it." She said casually, "The one you met, who calls herself the goddess of death, can be ranked in the top 2 among the powers of death held by the current universe. There is another one named Hila, who barely ranks 3rd. Is the first one my sister?" The teddy bear Nian asked curiously. His sister shook her head. "It's a black ring." "No, it's a black lantern." Now, Nian finally understood what the Black Lantern ring his sister had mentioned was. The multiverse, and indeed the universe itself, is filled with a variety of strange and regulated forces, like an upgraded version of fire acquired by humanity. Some of these forces have taken physical form, like the 6 Infinity Stones. Others are integrated into the universe itself, permeating every corner of the cosmos, and only a few top civilizations or extraordinary beings can draw upon them. For example, Earth's mages draw invisible energy from the multiverse. The Green Lantern Corps, through their rings, draws upon the power of this universe's will. As for the Parallax Monster, once feared by the Green Lantern Corps, it draws upon the power of this universe's fear. The Black Lantern ring now worn on Nian's right hand undoubtedly draws upon the death of this universe. Therefore, the Black Lantern ring can resurrect and manipulate the supervillains of this universe at will. It can even suffocate the living who wear it, reducing them to the walking dead under its control. Even in his magical superhuman mode, Nian couldn't avoid death, and was nearly killed by the Black Lantern ring on his finger. Of course, for some unknown reason, the Black Lantern ring didn't successfully kill him. Despite his extreme rage, Nian successfully avoided the Black Lantern's master's manipulation. And then there's this. Nian's gaze fell on the Purple Lantern ring, gleaming with an eternal glow on his ring finger, next to the Black Lantern. A knowing smile crossed Nian's face. If it weren't for his aunt, he wouldn't have been able to recover from his uncontrolled rage and the Black Lantern's strangulation. Intelligent beings have been identified. Nian, Prince from Earth, you hold a deep love within you. Welcome to the Star Sapphire. The Purple Lantern ring's power stems from love and hate. Holding this ring, one can create purple crystals, imprisoning enemies within them, or fashioning weapons from them. The Purple Lantern ring can also resurrect a loved one, sharing life with their loved one, and even the power of death cannot take either of them. It was precisely through the power of the Purple Lantern ring that Nian successfully suppressed the Black Lantern ring. Under the gaze of a host of superheroes. It's a long story about the Black Lantern. Nian gently released Kara and Alice, saying, "But I do feel rage right now, a rage I've never felt before." Nian's words were calm, yet the fleeting aura, even a hint of it, sent shockwaves through everyone present. Nian clenched his fists, his cold, golden eyes blazing with rage beneath a layer of absolute rationality. Someone had attempted to manipulate him to kill him, nearly caused the death of his aunt, and nearly killed his family and friends. How could he not be furious? Bang! The clouds above the metropolis exploded, and a wave of tides rolled over the ocean. If he was angry, he had to strike. Nian was a man of vengeance, never leaving a grudge until 12 hours after his temporary state. Horizontal ellipsis. Somewhere in the universe, on an inanimate planet, in the deepest part of an underground cavern. Amidst darkness and deathly silence, a stone throne stood. A mummified skeleton cloaked in a black cloak, clutching a metal scythe, sat on a stone pedestal, its eyes gleaming with a faint blue light. What the hell happened? The Black Death Emperor's voice rasped with confusion, his gaze lowered to the several Black Lantern rings in his palm. From the moment Purple Lantern Wonder Woman embraced Darkened Nian, he had lost his connection to the Black Lantern rings worn by Darkened Nian. This should never have happened. How could anything in this world suppress the death power within the Black Lantern rings? The Black Death Emperor couldn't understand. He suddenly realized that his first attempt to control the universe had gone awry. But the Black Death Emperor would never admit he'd hide a wall. He was the Black Death Emperor, the true lord of the Black Lanterns. How could he be stopped by a mere human? It seems I need to resurrect and manipulate more powerful dead to form a Black Lantern army. The Black Death Emperor muttered hoarsely. But then, something strange happened. Without warning, the several Black Lantern rings clutched in the Black Death Emperor's palms burst into purple-red flames. The purple-red flames shot out from the Black Death Emperor's hands, instantly illuminating the cave, and the icy temperature soared instantly. This purple-red flame could actually incinerate and disintegrate body and soul, even energy and principles. Chapter 487, Are you afraid of the yellow light? On an unknown, lifeless planet, an inextinguishable purple-red flame spread with astonishing speed, soon engulfing the entire underground cavern. Like rage manifested, the purple-red flames melted everything, erupting from the cavern and spreading to the outer reaches of the planet. At that moment, the previously dark and silent planet shone with the most dazzling purple light ever. With a rustle, a Martian portal and the figure of a young man, shrouded in flames, appeared almost simultaneously within the cavern of this inanimate planet. He was surrounded by the strange purple-red flames. Nian, in his Purple Lantern demigod mode, stood half a meter above the ground, his shimmering golden eyes reflecting the flame-swept cavern. The interior had expanded by more than 3 or 4 times its original size. Stone pedestals, skulls, rock formations, darkness and evil, All of it was annihilated by the purple-red flames. And so it was. This divine energy, seemingly purplish-red flame, was the result of a fusion of 3 high-level cosmic energies: crimson magic, demigod power, and the power of the purple lantern. Combined with the control and power of a superhuman force field, the purple lantern god Nian was confident he could instantly incinerate even Doomsday and Darkseid's clones he had encountered before. However, even then, he couldn't kill the mastermind behind this attack with a single blow. Nian's gaze fell on the engulfing black lantern rings. The moment he stepped into the area, he realized that the Black Death Emperor hadn't died there, but had escaped from the entanglement of the purple-red flames. Of course, this didn't mean that the Black Death Emperor was stronger than Darkseid and Doomsday, but rather that his nature and abilities made him extremely difficult to kill. Death? Nian muttered to himself in purple lantern god mode, his eyes flickering with purple flames like stars. Beings who possessed the power of death were incredibly difficult to kill. Take Hela before, for example. As long as the divine realm of Asgard existed, she remained immortal. Another example is the goddess of death. As long as the current universe doesn't completely annihilate, she won't truly die. As for the Black Death Emperor, who controls the Black Lantern realm of death, he's obviously even harder to kill. Even if he dies, he might still be reborn through another means. Of course, the Purple Lantern demon god Nian is certain that even if the Black Death Emperor survived the previous blow, he would have paid a heavy price to escape the scorching flames of the fused energy. A heavy price? That's not even close. I will find you and kill you. That's what I say, and I always keep my word. Nian spoke calmly. If it weren't for the absolute rationality that controlled his emotions, his current rage would have been enough to incinerate this uninhabited small planet to ash. Then, besides the Purple Lantern and Black Lantern rings on Nian's right hand, the silver crown ring on his middle finger suddenly flickered. Gwen. The Purple Lantern demon god Nian paused for a moment, his figure wrapped in purple-red flames flickering and vanishing into the underground caverns. Now, deep in the universe, a desolate, cold, lifeless planet. Accompanied by a wave of spatial teleportation, a small, skeleton-faced corpse fell onto the blue ice and snow. A faint blue light shone from the sunken eye sockets of the remaining half of its face, and from the corners of its twitching, wide-open mouth came an angry, hoarse cry, "Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!" It was the Black Death Emperor, and just now, for the first time in a long time, it had smelled the scent of its own death. It had actually nearly been killed. For trillions of years, a human had actually made it feel this sense of crisis and fear. Haha, so this day will come for you too. A charming female voice suddenly echoed from the deserted front. You are. The Black Death Emperor began to repair the small half of its body, slowly raising its shrunken skull, its dark blue eyes gazing at the area before it. The frost and snow there blew coldly, and a voluptuous figure shrouded in black veil slowly emerged from it, its face alternately skeletal, yet captivating. Goddess of Death? The Black Emperor gazed at the woman in black veil. Did you come here just to laugh at me? The Goddess of Death, unmoved by anger, chuckled softly. I know you just failed, but in my opinion, your failure was only natural. What are you trying to say? The Black Emperor's eyes grew colder, feeling that she was deliberately mocking him. Nian Prince, the Goddess of Death smiled charmingly. You clearly don't know that humans backers yet, and this is the biggest reason for your failure. Elsewhere. In the solar system, on Mars. Energy surged. A dozen elite Green Lanterns screamed, their weapons conjured by their wills annihilated by the force of yellow light, falling to the Martian surface. Why don't you kill them and claim the power? A disembodied yellow wraith, like a ball of energy, a cloud of light, the substance of fear, floated above the Martian surface. Beside it stood Sinestro, once the Green Lantern Corps' most outstanding captain. However, Sinestro had already donned a yellow lantern ring on his left hand, his eyes and face etched with a cold, ruthless glow against a backdrop of the yellow lantern. Yellow Lantern, Sinestro said coldly, no rush. Let them feel fear. The more fear they have, the more power we can claim. Sinestro, you've joined the Parallax creatures. You're a traitor to the Green Lantern Corps. The Guardians will never forgive you. Over a dozen Green Lanterns, betrayed by their captain, were filled with grief, anger, and disbelief. Yellow Lantern Sinestro sneered, nonchalantly stating, the blackest night is approaching, and all life in the universe will meet its end. The Green Lantern's will is too weak, so I can only join the Yellow Lanterns of Fear. He continued, as for the Guardians? They can barely protect themselves. Forget the Black Lanterns of Death, they can't even stand up to the Yellow Lanterns of Fear. Many Green Lanterns couldn't help but reveal their fear. Sinestro raised the Yellow Lantern ring on his left hand and released a yellow light that embodied fear. Lend me all your power. Only when fear reigns supreme can the universe be saved. Immediately, Green Lanterns were engulfed by the yellow mist. Their bodies and souls, including their Green Lantern rings, were exploited and drained by the power of the Yellow Lantern, flowing into Sinestro's Yellow Lantern. Everyone, don't give up. On the steadily falling battlefield of Mars, a female Green Lantern used a spider web to pull 3 or 4 Green Lanterns back, using a massive shield formed by the Green Lantern's will to resist the power of the Yellow Lantern. Oh, Gwen Stacy. Sinestro looked at her coldly. As a native of Earth civilization, you're truly beyond my expectations. But do you think you can withstand the Yellow Lantern? I've seen far more terrifying beings on Earth. There's nothing to fear. Green Lantern Spider-Woman Gwen stuck out her tongue proudly, raising the middle finger on her left hand, which held the Green Lantern ring. Chapter 488 I Have a Date with Death. Sinestro's eyes darkened. He was about to continue applying the force of his yellow light of fear, but suddenly paused, his eyes narrowed as he glanced in Gwen's direction. Green Lantern Gwen blinked curiously, thinking her warning had worked. Miss Gwen Stacy, watch your back. From a distance, several surviving Green Lanterns hurriedly warned. What? Green Lantern Gwen was startled. Her spider sense hadn't detected any danger, and she turned in surprise. She could see a young man, shrouded in flames, who had appeared out of nowhere on the Martian battlefield, standing calmly close behind her. A moon-crowned halo, a flame totem. Purple hair and golden eyes, his towering figure shrouded in powerful energy and divine power. The golden lasso of light trailing behind him seemed to be gathering infinite energy, like a dreamlike cosmic deity. Miss Gwen Stacy, run. Several Green Lanterns nearby gaped in shock. Huh? Green Lantern Gwen was stunned for a moment, then suddenly spread her slender arms, tightly wrapped in her Green Lantern suit, and leaped forward like a rabbit, throwing herself into the young man's arms. She also looked like a giant spider or sloth hanging from the young man's neck. Ha ha ha, you're here. Green Lantern Gwen leaned in close, affectionately. Gwen, what brought you here? Nian naturally cupped her round hips with one hand, ruffling her short, golden hair with the other. You can escape, why can't I? Gwen snorted, but a smile spread across her delicate face. It looks like they know each other. I think it's more than just acquaintance. They're clearly a couple. Several Green Lantern members were stunned for a moment, then breathed a sigh of relief. At least they weren't enemies. That's impossible. Sinestro stared intently at Nian's left hand, which held Gwen. 2 rings, one purple and one black, glowed with different radiances, intertwining with each other. Were they 2 lantern rings representing different emotional realms? Moreover, although the young man's appearance had changed slightly, he remembered that delicate, human face vividly. Wasn't that a mysterious individual who had so forcibly invaded the Green Lantern Corps headquarters 5 years ago? Nian patted Gwen gently and smiled. Leave the rest to me. Do you want that? Gwen asked, her eyes sparkling with intent and earnestness. That's enough. Nian set Gwen down and, in his purple lantern devil mode, raised his piercing golden eyes. Whereas a moment before he had been reserved and gentle, he now became incredibly cold. Purple-red flames blazed, and even the battlefield on Mars was frozen in the terrifying aura. Sinestro, wearing the yellow lantern, took a step back in midair. He felt a distinct sense of fear. Terror permeated his heart. The yellow lantern was supposed to instill fear in all things and draw strength from it. But at this moment, Sinestro was undoubtedly afraid. Would fear of the yellow lantern itself also bring fear? Parallax. Yellow Lantern Sinestro instinctively glanced to the side, watching the yellow wraith transform into a gust of wind, soaring towards the universe beyond Mars. The parallax monster, the one who controls the power of fear, ran away? Damn it! Yellow Lantern Sinestro felt like swearing. He suddenly raised his left hand, and the yellow lantern ring burst into a brilliant light. Nian, in Purple Lantern demigod mode, moved. Without any offensive means, he transformed into a stream of light, passing over Yellow Lantern Sinestro's body. With a crackling sound, the powerful yellow light curtain was directly shattered. Sinestro had no chance of resistance, and his body was disintegrated into nothingness by the flames. Above the ground, only a green lantern ring and a yellow lantern ring remained. Green Lantern demigod Nian continued to pursue the yellow lantern parallax monster. "I didn't attack that girl, why are you chasing me?" The parallax monster's mind exploded. 5 years ago, it sensed an invincible presence on Earth, so it chose not to descend upon it, instead lurking on Mars, not far from Earth. Unexpectedly, it had lured the enemy out, and it was clearly even more powerful than it had been 5 years ago. It had no other choice but to flee. Did it see that the enemy had even subdued the Black Lantern? Bang! The incorporeal parallax monster was about to burst out of Mars, but it collided with an invisible wall. The parallax monster quickly discovered that it wasn't a wall, but a spatial barrier formed of amethyst. Its path was blocked. As for the back, the purple-haired youth transformed into a stream of purple light, resembling a purplish-red sun, charging towards them with unstoppable force. "Don't come over here!" the parallax monster cried in fear. The next moment, the purple lantern demigod Nian, his perfect body enshrouded in flames, slammed directly into the yellow lantern wraith. Boom! Like a miniature supernova, sky-high flames erupted across the universe, a truly magnificent spectacle. When Nian returned to Earth with Gwen, the resurrection incident came to an end. Only a select few knew of this. The darkness still lurked in the depths of the universe, brewing a cosmic catastrophe. Even less were aware of this. After defeating the parallax monster, the purple lantern demigod Nian, the star of this extraordinary event, did not return to the devouring dimension or reunite with the superheroes. Nian, channeling all his divine energy and power, shed his aura and divine aura, and quietly reappeared in the Washington, D.C., form of ordinary humanity. As night fell, Washington's lights began to illuminate, and the modern pedestrian streets bustled with activity. Nian, dressed in a shirt and uniform, looked like an ordinary office worker, weary and ready to go home. He arrived at the intersection on Washington Street, waiting to be cleared. The light turned green, and traffic began to flow. Nian, with a nimble stride that could shake a city, suddenly smiled midway through and made his way to a bus stop on the opposite highway. A Gothic woman sat quietly and gracefully, holding a small black umbrella, casting a small shadow under the streetlight. "Sister," Nian called out, approaching. The Gothic woman didn't respond, continuing to gaze at the bustling modern street before her. "You helped me earlier, didn't you?" Nian smiled. "I really can't think of anyone else who could have ignored the black light's lethality and saved me." The Gothic woman shrugged lightly, not raising her eyes. She replied casually yet firmly, "At least you were my intern assistant for a while. I won't allow you to be killed by the rules of death." Nian said sincerely, "Sister, I don't know how to thank you. You saved me twice." Precisely because she was death itself, she existed only as an observer of death. Nian had never seen her sister. She had saved dying beings, no matter how powerful, pitiful, or lovable, but she would calmly watch them meet their end. Except for him. Nian once had a bold guess, but it was just a guess that made his heart race, and even he couldn't believe it. The Gothic woman responded, "If you feel you owe me something, then pay the price." "What price?" Nian couldn't think of a price comparable to his own life. "Still," he said cheerfully and firmly, "Sister, I'll give you whatever you want right now. Even if it means death." "Yes, even if it means death." "Then go on a date with me." "Okay, huh?" Nian was taken aback, his mouth hanging open. Beneath her exquisite black umbrella, the Gothic woman raised her beautiful eyes in delight, the corners of her dark red lips curling upwards. "Didn't you say you'd show me the world you live in? Then go on a date with me, brother." Chapter 489, Price, A Date with Death. Early morning. A villa outside Washington. As the dawn light falls on the windows, the sky blue curtains on the indoor windows are drawn, brightening the dim room. Inside the room, in front of the wardrobe mirror, he combs his black hair neatly, puts on a long white shirt that fits him well, tidies up the collar and cuffs, puts on smooth, wrinkle-free black trousers, polishes his adult leather shoes to shine, and finally puts on a solid winter coat. The handsome, dark-haired young man exhaled a breath of hot air, staring at himself in the mirror. He earnestly asks the silver-haired girl in a maid's outfit beside him, "Alice, how do I look?" "Master, you look absolutely perfect. If I were the woman, my heart would definitely race." The maid, Alice, blinks and responds with a pleasant, Firm voice. She hovers slightly and ties the young man's cashmere scarf. Then I'll be out now, Nian says hastily, taking a deep breath. Master. Alice dropped back to the floor, raised her sapphire eyes, and asked with barely concealed concern, are you really alright? You don't have any temporary abilities right now, and after what happened yesterday, is it really alright for you to go out alone today? It's okay, Nian said with a calm smile. I'm not alone. As long as you're here, I'll be fine. In other words, today was the safest day for him. If anything happens, I'll let you know. Nian waved his hand, excitedly heading out. Raven, be good at home with Alice. Wait until I get back. Nian said as he passed through the main hall on the first floor, not forgetting to address the black-hooded Lolita who had just finished breakfast and was sitting on the sofa. Without waiting for her response, Nian had already opened the door and left the villa. The villa suddenly became deserted. What? Raven, now in her human form, raised her eyes and glanced disapprovingly at the closed door of the villa. I'm not a child, what's the point of being obedient? You're saying you'll wait for me when I come back? It's obvious you don't want me to go out with you. Alice came down the stairs from the second floor and said happily, but I haven't seen the master this excited since 4 years ago. That's right. He wasn't this excited even when he met me. Raven felt a sense of resentment at being alone in an empty house, and her words were much more pronounced today. No, meeting me, it's obvious he's disgusted, Raven muttered disapprovingly, like a little crow. Admittedly, she was jealous. A light snow fell from the slightly gloomy sky. The neon lights were still on, and the modern streets were bustling with traffic. Nian arrived at the entrance of Washington Park and checked his watch. It was almost 9 o'clock, the appointed time. He just hadn't seen the person he'd met yet. Nian felt strangely nervous. He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt nervous. The closer it got to the appointed time, the more nervous he became, and his heart began to beat uncontrollably. Time passed minute by minute. Finally, it was 9 o'clock. Standing in front of the park, Nian looked around the street. There were many people holding black umbrellas, but he didn't see the familiar female figure among them. However, it was normal that she didn't show up. Nian didn't know whether he should feel disappointed or relieved. But at this moment, a light footstep sounded from the park behind him. At this moment, the snowflakes floating around seemed to stop. You didn't think I wasn't coming, did you? A light and pleasant female voice sounded from nearby behind him. Nian turned around and saw a woman dressed in Gothic style walking towards him, holding her usual small black umbrella. The woman with short black hair slightly raised her black umbrella, revealing her elegant and bright black eyes, and gently opened her dark lips. Death never breaks its promise. Actually, what I was thinking was that it would be better if you didn't come. Nian blurted out, and then quickly waved his hand. Of course I hope you can come. But I don't know why, deep down, I don't really want you to come here. The Gothic woman's beautiful eyes were slightly stunned. Nian also knew that his words were full of contradictions, and couldn't help asking, Sister, is it really okay if you are not here because of the death observation? The Gothic woman chuckled, what are you thinking? It's as if I can only operate according to the laws of the universe. I can do anything as long as I want. She paused and said, in this world, the only one who can influence or kill me is myself. Nian knew that the world his sister was talking about was not limited to his current universe, but also included the entire multiverse. That's great. Nian breathed a sigh of relief. He gazed at the woman before him, his eyes brightening. Sister, you look beautiful today. So, has the date started? The Gothic woman asked curiously. I heard that complimenting your partner is a necessary dating etiquette here. Nian replied sincerely, I don't know how others do it, but I mean it. Meanwhile, instead of her usual tank top and jeans, Nian wore a long, fluffy black dress. The dress hugged her figure, emphasizing her graceful curves, revealing the delicate, unbroken clavicle adorned with a cross. The skin of her slender arms beneath her sleeves held a pale beauty. Beneath her ear-length black hair, the black eyeliner at the corner of her right eye curved into a subtle note. Her beautiful, valiant face was pale. Standing on the lightly snowing street, she looked like a beauty from a sketch, painted in only two basic tones, black and white. She possessed a familiarity, yet an untouchable mystery. Today, the Death Sister was truly beautiful, her Gothic dress adding a touch of softness and allure. Meeting Nian's fiery gaze, the Gothic woman wasn't shy, letting him admire her as he muttered, Date, feeling good. The official date hasn't even started yet. Nian smiled and extended his hand. Let's go, sister. The Gothic woman followed his lead, placing her right hand on the offered palm. Nian held her hand. It was a slightly cold, yet soft hand, its fingers slender and even, perfectly shaped like a work of art. Although he had been held by that hand for 3 years, 5 years ago, that was only in spirit form, inhabiting a stuffed bear, without any sense of touch. And now, this was Nian's second physical encounter with death. The first had been 8 years prior, the day before Nian's death. The meeting point, at the entrance to Washington Park, was also where Nian and death had first met. Moreover, this was a date, a true hand-holding, a date with death. The meaning was completely different. Chapter 490. Because I love you, I die. And so, on the streets of Washington, D.C., near Christmas, a light snow was falling. The projection screens dotted the streets, broadcasting news reports about the previous day's resurrection of a deceased villain. As the former Avengers and Justice League superheroes contemplated how to face the coming blackest night, Nian, one of the protagonists of this extraordinary event, and death, the embodiment of the rules of the multiverse, embarked on a date as ordinary people. Like a perfectly normal, perfectly matched couple, Nian strolled hand in hand with death along Washington's pedestrian mall, enjoying a delicious steak lunch at a 5-star hotel, and even stopped by his high school. Sister, look, that's where I used to study. Nian said to the Gothic woman walking beside him. Back then, I was just an ordinary human, someone who had never seen aliens, never seen magic, and had no special abilities. I only wanted to get into a good university and support my aunt in the future. He sighed. I never imagined so much would happen later. It's like a dream. The Gothic woman nodded slightly. Even in the multiverse, few people have such a unique experience as yours. Why do I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the multiverse? Nian smiled and squeezed the hand he was holding. The Gothic woman glanced at him, non-committal. Nian was amused. He was definitely the luckiest person in the multiverse. After all, who else but him could have a date with true death? Come closer, the Gothic woman suddenly gestured with her umbrella. Nian couldn't help but move closer, their shoulders almost touching. Washington High School, on the open field. Teacher Roth Harrington, can you tell us more about the legendary story of Senior Gwen Stacy? Yes. I heard that Miss Gwen, the current head manager of Future Chronicle, once attended our high school. A group of high school students excitedly chatted in the snow. Instructor Roth, with his graying hair and muscular demeanor, coughed and said, Gwen's current achievements are indeed impressive. But if I were to ask, there's another student whose achievements are far more impressive. Who? The high school students were stunned. Who else had attended this school and achieved more than the head manager of Future Chronicle? Instructor Roth gave a mysterious chuckle and didn't respond. But then, in a daze, Instructor Roth looked out onto the campus. The high school students turned around and saw only the silhouettes of a man and a woman walking by with black umbrellas, quickly disappearing into the distance. Instructor, what's wrong? Nothing. I recognized the wrong person, Instructor Roth said with a grin. A day is long, yet short. Nian took death to explore the places he once lived, tasted the food he considered delicious, and took death to movies and dances. When they left the nightclub, death whispered, just doing the same mundane things all the time. Nian asked, Sister, do you hate this? The Gothic woman shook her head. Not only don't I hate it, I find it fascinating. I want to keep going. Nian winked at her and said, that's a date. Two people together, doing what they do in love. The Gothic woman was silent, then smiled faintly in understanding. So, that's what a date is. Later that night, Nian and Death finished dinner and left the restaurant. Outside, the lights weren't already on. Death suddenly stopped and looked toward a pedestrian street. Nian looked over in surprise and saw a claw machine in the corner of the commercial street. Sister, you don't want to play that, do you? Nian asked, baffled. No. The Gothic woman glanced at him calmly. It's not that I can't. I just think it's a bit novel that you like this. Nian suppressed a smile and walked forward with Death. As they approached, Nian realized that the stuffed animals in this claw machine, were all bear-shaped. Death looked at the bear, wondering what was going on. Let's try it. Nian immediately took out his wallet and put in a few coins. He used his spider sense to enhance his perception, and controlled his emotions to maintain absolute rationality, and began to fiddle with the claw machine's remote control. Death opened his beautiful dark eyes wide and watched the moving mechanical claw with a hint of anticipation. Nian pressed the button, and the mechanical claw naturally caught a bear, but they naturally failed. Well, that's how claw machines work. Under the gaze of Death's sister, Nian's eyes twitched, and he looked a little embarrassed. "Sister, why don't you try it?" The Gothic woman hesitated, then stepped forward to try to operate the joystick. The mechanical claw caught the doll perfectly once again, only for it to fall from the hook again. Another failure. Nian and Death stood before the claw machine, silent in the light snow and chilly wind. The two, nearly omnipotent, had both been defeated by this claw machine. One more. Nian gritted his teeth and pulled out a wad of US dollars. 10 minutes later. Wow. A group of stunned children surrounded a claw machine. Clearly, the black-haired young man, clutching dozens of teddy bears, had spent an unknown amount, yet he had practically emptied the machine. As expected. Superpowers sometimes fail, but cash is always reliable. The Gothic woman smiled, took a teddy bear from his arms, and said, "Give the rest to the kids." "As you say," Nian agreed happily, his expression of triumph pleasing. The children surrounding the two men cheered. The night deepened. Inside Washington Park. Seeing the Gothic woman clutching her teddy bear tightly in her arms, Nian couldn't help but smile. "Do you like it that much?" "Yes, I like it very much. I like it very much." The Gothic woman nodded seriously, hugged the teddy bear tighter, and looked up at Nian. Nian's heart leaped. He found that he really liked the Gothic woman he was in. He liked the warmth and indifference, the elegance and casualness, the mysterious and moving depth. The Gothic woman, holding her new teddy bear, suddenly quickened her pace and trotted forward, stopping near the park fountain. Her black Gothic dress swayed gently, and she turned to look Nian in the eye. "Thank you for the date. I will always remember this day. I have definitely accepted the price you paid. Sister, you." Nian saw his sister against a backdrop of the night, and the feeling of never seeing each other again welled up in his heart again. "And I will pay the price for this," the Gothic woman said inexplicably, but her face was full of smiles. She walked forward slowly, and as the fountain behind her burst out, her body fell into Nian's arms. Death slightly tiptoed, and sent a dark red lipstick in the night. Nian's body was pressed against Death's, and he could feel the other's accelerated heartbeat, and he could not help but lower his head subconsciously. He could feel each other's breath, and the moment before the two were about to touch. Puff. The sound of something being pierced was clearly heard. Nian opened his eyes in a daze, and he saw a Gothic woman who looked exactly like the embodiment of Death, standing calmly behind Death. The Gothic woman, wearing a tank top and jeans, held a dark chain in her hand, which pierced the Death in Nian's arms from the back, and lifted up her body in a black dress. Chapter 491. You are favored by Death. Under the darkness, on the snowy ground, a disembodied black chain, like a concept materialized, pierced through the Gothic woman in her black dress, bursting through her graceful figure, ripping through the stuffed bear she clutched. Nian's eyes widened as he saw another Gothic woman, identical to the Death sister. She was wearing the same tank top and jeans he'd worn when he'd first met his sister. She calmly pulled the black chain back from her grasp. Aside from her attire, the second Gothic woman was virtually identical to the first Death sister. Except for her eyes. It was the same look Nian had seen since they'd first met her, gentle and calm, treating all living things equally, casting a calm gaze as an observer on the day of their demise. A look devoid of any personal emotion. She was Death, and only Death. Not the anticipation of a teddy bear, not the yearning for a date, not the desire to meet him, not the Death sister who treated him differently. Clang clang. Accompanied by the crisp sound of black chains in the air. Death retracted the black chain, and the chain twisted and transformed into a small umbrella, which she held in her hands elegantly and lightly. Death did not even look at Nian, but turned around, held up the small umbrella, and disappeared into the night with a step. Everything happened so abruptly and quickly that even Nian had no room to react. Snap. Until, the Gothic woman pierced by the black chain fell weakly on his chest. Why is this happening? Even with the absolute rationality of controlling his emotions, Nian was panicked for a moment, and hugged the sister Death in his arms tightly with both hands. I don't know if it was an illusion. Nian felt that the body of Sister Death in his arms was very light, like a feather. No blood flowed out, only the plush inside the torn teddy bear slipped between the two like snowflakes. Please, please, don't die. Nian kept muttering, instinctively reaching for Death's sister's slender back, but his hand slipped right through the Gothic woman's body instead of touching her. Nian was stunned. Under the influence of the fourth permanent ability, the Eye of Death, the body, pierced by black chains, began to dissipate into wisps of black mist. This was the concept of the rule of death. Don't worry, I won't die. Death's sister whispered faintly, if death means the end of all things, then I, like this multiverse, will exist forever. Even if the multiverse is destroyed, I will not end. Her current human form was merely a manifestation of the concept of the rule of death, capable of taking on any form she desired. Yes, it's you after all. Nian forced a laugh, but tightened his grip on the Gothic woman's back and abdomen, which were beginning to lose their composure. What happened just now? Can you tell me? Nian looked down at his sister's face, pale as a sketch. Can't you tell me? Death's sister hummed softly, pouting her dark red lips. No. I have to know. Nian replied solemnly. All right. The Gothic woman turned away, whispering weakly, Death doesn't have feelings, let alone love. Once Death falls in love with someone, it automatically creates a second, original personality, the self, to format the problematic existence. Do you understand me? A hint of shyness and relief crossed the Gothic woman's pale face. I don't understand, I don't understand. Nian trembled slightly, struggling to believe the truth. Nian, I've fallen in love with you, it's that simple. The Gothic woman's lips curled up slightly, her head resting on the young man's arm. I don't really want to tell you. Because, as a woman, I'm shy about confessing things, too. Sister, is there any way I can save you? Tell me. Nian hugged the Gothic woman tightly, but the delicate body in his arms had already mostly become an ethereal mist of the laws of death. Did I say it? I won't die, so I naturally don't need medical treatment. Sister Death smiled faintly and said, don't you understand yet? The real me has just left the earth. What's lying in your arms now is just the afterimage of death I left a minute ago. Nian was silent, and then gritted his teeth and asked, I am willing to pay a sufficient price. Can you change back to the way you were before? Even if I can never see you again. Sorry, I can't do it. Sister Death smiled and said, remember the last time we met? In fact, I realized at that time that I might have fallen in love with you, so I wanted to leave this universe forever after seeing you once. I should have kept you. Nian's body trembled. He recalled the last time he met Sister Death in Gotham. At that time, the other party gave him the illusion that she came to see him for the last time. Even without your entreaties, I wouldn't have come to see you. The musical note outlined by the Gothic woman's right eye seemed to dance with joy. Because I've fallen in love with you. No matter where I go, even if I leave this world, I will miss you. I'll give anything to see you again, over and over again. Because I'm in love with you, it's the most unavoidable. Promise me, I'll see you again. Nian could no longer feel the weight of his hands. The body in his arms had become a translucent female shadow, poised to dissipate into a black mist of death at any moment. Nian, brother, remember this. The Gothic woman's half-empty left hand gently stroked Nian's face, whispering, you are the first and last person favored by death. She suddenly burst into a chuckle. You, the intern, have really not made any progress. You've been burdened with problems and difficulties for the past few years, yet you haven't mentioned them to me today. Remember, the Lord of Death is actually the embodiment of life. With these words, she finished. In Nian's arms, the shadow of the Gothic woman began to merge into the black death mist in the air. If possible, I really want to see you again. The Gothic woman stopped talking before she finished. It was Nian who suddenly lowered his head, and the kiss that had been interrupted before finally touched each other at this moment. Nian could not feel any touch from his lips, but he felt that this was really the most beautiful and precious thing today. Sister, you have to remember one thing too. Nian and the shadow of the Gothic woman looked at each other at a point close to each other. He took a deep breath and said with certainty, no matter how much time has passed, no matter where you are, I will find you. I will make you fall in love with me again. Unless we die, our fate will not be interrupted. Chapter 492 The Lord of Death is the incarnation of life, In Washington Park, in front of the central fountain, the music and splashing of the fountain ceased. A dark-haired young man in a suit and tie knelt on one knee in the snow, his arms still clasped, but there was no one within them. Only streams of black mist, the laws of death, drifted forth. A gentle snow continued to fall silently, settling on his hair and shoulders. Buzz! The black ring on Nian's right hand suddenly shone with a powerful black light, like a ball of night attempting to engulf him. Then, another ring on Nian's middle finger blazed with a brilliant purple light, like a small purple lamp, repelling and suppressing the absolute darkness of the black ring. The lights in Washington Park suddenly flickered, then completely went out. Even the moon above Washington was obscured by dark clouds. Suddenly, the silent park was plunged into an eerie darkness. Nian's purple ring was the only remaining source of light in the park. Taps. Two figures, accompanied by the absolute darkness, appeared in front of Nian, one after the other. One of the figures was a towering skull-faced mummy, its eyes ablaze with a deep blue light. A massive sickle wielded its hand, and a dark aura, devouring life and light, surged from its body. The other figure was a mature woman shrouded in black veil. Her voluptuous, flawless body was exposed, her face shrouded in a black mist, a faint glimpse of a bewitchingly beautiful face. I knew it. How could that person be with a human from Earth in this world? The veiled woman chuckled, then sighed with obvious relief. If they truly fought for it, they would undoubtedly lose. Why do you look so weak? Where's your last display? Aren't you going to show it? The skull-faced mummy's face, cold and indifferent, gazed upon the young man with sunken blue eyes. It slowly raised its massive sickle. It could still feel the pain and humiliation of having burned so much of its body in the purple-red flames. New York Temple, first floor. Dr. Strange, Stephen Strange, was floating cross-legged, eyes closed, above a large cauldron. Suddenly, the New York Temple trembled slightly, and a crack appeared on the cauldron's surface. Dr. Strange's eyes snapped open, his pale face covered in sweat. It's broken. In the former Justice League headquarters, a cathedral-like main hall stood. Batman, Superman, Supergirl, The Flash, Cyborg, Martian Manhunter, Tank, and Zatanna. The superheroes were holding their long-unseen meeting, also discussing the council regarding the appearance of the various lantern rings. At that moment, Zatanna's expression suddenly changed, and she rose from her chair, looking towards Washington. At the Avengers headquarters, at the studio, Captain Marvel, having eliminated the binary star energy pollution from her body, shook hands for the first time with the now potent Thor, now paunchy and with his Stormbreaker. Tony Stark was nearby, modifying his Iron Man armor. At that moment, both the men noticed something and gazed solemnly out into the vast night. In Washington, D.C., at Stacy's home, Gwen suddenly leaped from her bed. Glancing at the bookcase, she saw a green lantern ring in the drawer, glowing green in an emergency. In a private villa in Washington, D.C., the silver-haired girl, Alice, was still waiting at the door for her master's return. But at that moment, Raven, curled up in a small circle on the first-floor sofa, suddenly spoke. They're coming. Who are they? Alice asked. This sickening feeling, there's no mistaking it. Raven said quickly, it's the owner of the black ring yesterday. And the woman who appeared on the Great Era 8 years ago. She pondered, it's not far from here. Specifically, it should be in Washington Park. Alice's jewel-like eyes narrowed. Washington Park? Oh no, my master. Now, only superheroes with extraordinary perception could vaguely sense that Earth's greatest crisis had arrived. By the time they could sense it, it was already too late. Washington Park. The Black Death Emperor gazed at the black-haired youth and sneered, I will destroy half of your body and make you my puppet, to be used by me for eons. The goddess of death covered her mouth with her hand and giggled seductively, I want his soul. The Black Death Emperor and the goddess of death descended simultaneously. Not only could Earth, not even the entire Green Lantern Corps resist. Therefore, dividing the spoils became a matter of course. Under the gazes of the Black Death Emperor and the goddess of death, Nian, kneeling on one knee, ignored them and picked up the shattered teddy bear from the ground. Nian raised his eyes and first glanced at the goddess of death. Goddess of death, didn't you promise me that you would never set foot on the earth again? I regret it, is that not okay? The goddess of death swayed her seductive body and said coldly, my most proud subordinates died here, you must pay with your soul. I don't know any of your proud subordinates, but forget it. Nian shook his head, His eyes fell on the Black Death Emperor next to the Goddess of Death. You should be the owner of the Black Lantern, right? Exactly. The Black Death Emperor looked at him dimly, his terrifying skull face expressionless. Now that I'm here, even the Purple Lantern can't save you. You came here on your own initiative, so that I can find you one by one. Nian said calmly, let's settle the previous grievances tonight. Why don't you show your last attitude? Do you really think you can beat or kill me? The dark blue light in the eyes of the Black Death Emperor shone brightly, and he said hoarsely, Goddess of Death, I'm going to make a move. I've frozen the space here. He can't teleport away, and no one else can teleport in, the Goddess of Death said charmingly. Remember, leave his soul to me. This is the premise of our cooperation. The Black Death Emperor nodded. Holding a massive scythe and carrying the all-consuming darkness, he charged towards Nian, who had no temporary abilities. Facing the overwhelming darkness, the purple lantern ring in Nian's hand dimmed. As the Black Death Emperor was about to pounce, the darkness extinguished the last light source in the park. Buzz! A beam of pure white light, as bright as daylight, burst forth like a sword, ripping through the black night and cleaving the incoming Black Death Emperor in midair. The Black Death Emperor screamed in agony. Impossible. The Goddess of Death cried out in disbelief. Nian raised his left hand, which had been hidden within the broken bear doll. On it, he wore a strange, translucent ring emitting a hazy white light. Thank you, sister. Nian muttered to herself, you're right. Death is actually also life. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493, The Lord of White Lantern, Life is Short. Washington Park. A mysterious light, as bright as day, forcefully ripped through the night and the darkness. A blade-like radiance even split the Black Death Emperor in two. The Goddess of Death trembled violently, her dark purple lips gaping in disbelief as she gazed forward. It was visible. On the black-haired young man's previously bare left hand, a simple ring had been placed. The ring emanated a powerful, piercing white light, imbued with an infinite, surging vitality. Threads of vibrant white light emanated, coating Nian's perfectly formed steel frame, transforming into a perfectly fitted, holy white uniform, as if cast from the heavens. Every movement was imbued with the breath of life. The brightest day will eventually bring light, cleansing the soul is delusion. Darkness descends, gaze upward, the new day descends with boundless light. Just like the last time he donned the purple lantern ring, Nian heard a secret message from the very beginning of the universe. Under the oppression of the white light, the purple lantern ring on Nian's right hand, previously suppressed by the absolute darkness, shone with light, condensing into a purple moon crown that he wore on his head. His eyes, filled with white light, stared at the Black Death Emperor and the Death Goddess, severed in two. Damn it! It's the life force of the spirit of existence. The Black Death Emperor cried out in disbelief, attempting to quickly restore his body as a surge of absolute darkness, filled with infinite death, erupted from his body. Engulfed by the absolute darkness, all the plants and even microorganisms in Washington Park perished. But in the next instant, the absolute darkness was shattered by the blazing daylight flashing from Nian's eyes. The absolute darkness of death, powerful enough to devour all living things, faced the white light like white frost meeting the scorching midday sun. Sizzle. The rich, infinite light of absolute darkness melted and collapsed. The bright light of day, like flames, descended upon the two halves of the Black Death Emperor's still unhealed corpse in midair. It burned with a force reminiscent of the purple-red flames from the previous time, only this time with even greater intensity and directness. The utter darkness of death meeting the force of life was like dry wood meeting a raging fire. How did you do that? The Black Death Emperor screamed again, his blood-curdling cry echoing throughout Washington Park. He couldn't understand. Even if his own existence was restrained by the life force of the White Lantern, how could a human, newly adorned with the White Lantern, unleash its full power, unleashing such a powerful and boundless life force? How could a spirit of existence risk everything to aid him? The Black Death Emperor cried out in anger, Goddess of Death, won't you take action? You know it, even without me telling you. The Death Goddess naturally understood the urgency of the situation and was about to intervene when a purple crystal materialized from the park floor beneath Nian's feet. Purple lightning flashed, quickly converging into a large purple crystal, trapping the death goddess within. After forming another, even larger, purple crystal enveloped the amethyst that bound the goddess of death. This continued, and in an instant, a mountain of amethysts formed within Washington Park. Bang! The amethyst mountain and Washington Park shook violently, and a crack appeared on the crystal. Nian knew that restraining the goddess of death with the power of the purple lamp alone was too difficult, but his goal was only to delay her for a second or two. Trample. Ignoring the goddess of death trapped by the amethyst, Nian charged directly towards the Black Death Emperor, enveloped in white flames. Even at ordinary human speed, the two were close enough. You think you can finish me off first? You're overthinking it. As if aware of his intention, the Black Death Emperor roared angrily, half of its body moving, brandishing the massive scythe in its grasp. Bang! The collision of black and white, the clash of death and life. The Dark Emperor's dark blue eyes flickered violently. His amethyst-encrusted right hand grasped the blade of the massive sickle, while Nian, shrouded in white light, approached. I've said it before. The past grudges will be settled tonight. Nian's eyes shone white. His left hand, adorned with a white lantern ring, clenched into a fist, striking down without hesitation. Nian Prince, I will remember you. The Dark Emperor's words were uttered in shock and fury. Nian's fist struck the Dark Emperor's head, and the ring erupted with a ball of white light, like a blazing fireball in broad daylight. In that instant, the darkness of half the earth, which had been shrouded in darkness, faded, and the entire planet was suddenly filled with daylight. Countless people and creatures were awakened from their slumbers. The brightness of daylight was so bright that even the Atlantis Empire, 10,000 meters beneath the sea, could be seen. Then, the daylight quickly faded, and the profound darkness that had previously eerily enveloped Washington Park vanished. A massive scythe fell from the sky, its sharp half-blade nailed to the ground. The Black Death Emperor's body completely dissipated under the force of life. Perhaps as long as the lights remained dark, and the law of death in this universe persisted, it would not die. But it was clear that within tens of millions of years, the legend of the Blackest Night would cease to exist in this universe. The tale of the Blackest Night's apocalypse was suppressed by another legend. At the same moment, crack! The amethyst mountain exploded, and the goddess of death burst forth like a stream of black light. Seeing the Black Death Emperor obliterated by the whiteness, the goddess of death, without hesitation, turned and fled towards the night sky beyond Washington Park. Nian's bright eyes swept over. The black veil formed by the law of death on the goddess of death melted away at a visible speed, revealing a mature and alluring white body in the park sky. Like her appearance, that body was equally alluring and exquisite. A single glance could make monks and nuns abandon their spiritual practice, and even tempt even gods. Nian Prince. The goddess of death screamed frantically, instinctively covering her vital parts. With a sporadic burst of daylight flame, she vanished into thin air with a single step. Nian didn't pursue, gasping for air as the white light dimmed. Defeating the Black Emperor and repelling the goddess of death had pushed the white lantern to the limit of its life force. If the goddess of death chose to fight him to the death, it was hard to say who would win. This would undoubtedly be a dramatic and extraordinary battle. The Black Emperor and the goddess of death, two beings capable of plunging this universe into a doomsday, now one dead and one escaping. Such a feat was a record in the current universe. Nian let out a slow breath and looked down at his left hand. The white lantern ring on his index finger was trembling softly, as if possessing its own intelligence and will. Spirit of existence. A flash of understanding flashed in Nian's eyes. The source of this white lantern ring feared itself, or rather, feared the existence that had once been with it. Chapter 494, Nian's returning permanent ability. Washington Park. After the clash between black and white faded, the sound of wind piercing the sky began to resonate. Superman and Supergirl arrived first, hovering in midair, looking down in disbelief at Nian, who was glowing white. Boom! A beam of rainbow light pierced the night sky and slammed down into the park. From the rainbow light emerged Thor, wielding Stormbreaker and visibly gaining weight, Captain Marvel, whose body began to shimmer with the color of a binary star, and Iron Man, donning his iconic Iron Man suit. Where are the enemies? Thor shouted with a feigned assertiveness, his beard twitching. The teleportation restriction had been lifted. Zatanna, Raven, and Doctor Strange, through spells or abilities, simultaneously teleported to the scene from different locations. Zatanna and Raven breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing Nian safe and sound. Sorcerer Supreme, what just happened here? I clearly foresaw a formidable enemy that would bring destruction to the universe. Doctor Strange said in shock, but his words paused when his gaze fell on the giant scythe on the field. Swoosh! Martian Manhunter, Alice, and the others descended from the night sky, arriving one after another at the park. The superheroes stared in bewilderment at the park, where Nian was alone. The park itself was only impaled on the ground by the giant scythe, otherwise, there was no sign of damage from the extraordinary battle. Even the withered and dead plants were revived by the life force. It's over, Nian whispered. Over. Even the self-proclaimed clever superheroes were baffled. It's over before it even began? Wasn't that a formidable enemy capable of destroying the universe? And it's over before anyone even saw it? Nian said nothing more. He suddenly removed the white ring from his left hand, and the white uniform he wore vanished. Nian calmly addressed a faintly trembling white lantern ring, saying, "Go." The white lantern flickered. "Life shouldn't be bound," Nian whispered. He knew the white lantern didn't recognize him. Just now, Nian had gained a glimpse of the laws of life from Sister Death. The Lord of Death was the embodiment of life. Thus, the remaining death force within him naturally transformed into life force. With Sister Death's intimidation and support, Nian gained control of the white lantern. It was precisely because of this that Nian, upon first donning the white lantern, unleashed near-perfect white lantern life force. After all, the lantern ring and its host have always worked in partnership, its power directly equal to that of the host. Nian, however, directly overran the white lantern, commanding it as its master, unleashing its full power. "If you wish to leave, then go," Nian said with a calm smile. Buzz! A ring shone with white light, soaring from his palm. It circled around Nian several times before disappearing into the night sky above the park. Nian felt no regret. The Dark Emperor's darkest night had been resolved, and the Goddess of Death was in serious trouble too. She probably wouldn't dare enter Earth again for centuries or millennia. The White Lantern had fulfilled its mission. "I should also fulfill mine," Nian muttered to himself. "Nian, what do you want to do?" Supergirl Kara flew down beside Nian, asking worriedly. "You'll know soon," Nian replied, then said to Alice, who is not far away, "Give me the thing." "Master." Alice trembled slightly, but quickly opened her hand. A small piece of nanometal emerged from the center of her palm. The nanometal slowly flew towards Nian. Nian grabbed the nanometal with his right hand, and it instantly transformed into a silver metal glove that perfectly encircled his right hand. The silver glove had 6 small indentations. "What is that?" Doctor Strange's eyes widened in surprise. Thor stared at the glove intently and quickly took over. "It's the Infinity Gauntlet." "No, it's a replica of it." "Yes," Alice whispered. 3 years ago, the Master cracked the Infinity Gauntlet and asked me to forge a replica using advanced technology and special metals. This nanometal gauntlet has almost all of the Infinity Gauntlet's functions." Nian donned the nanogauntlet and, in front of the superheroes, activated the Dimension Ring. Buzz! Immediately, 4 gems, each gleaming with a different light, appeared in the park. Blue, purple, red, and green. 4 colored gems. "It's the Space Stone." Captain Marvel's eyes flashed. Her binary mode power stemmed from the Space Stone's predecessor, the Tesseract. And the Power Stone, the Reality Stone, and the Time Stone. Doctor Strange paused, seeing the green Time Stone again. He felt like he'd met an old friend. "I remember there were 6 Infinity Stones." Martian Manhunter suddenly asked. "Yes, but the Soul Stone was long destroyed, and the Mind Stone is nowhere to be found," Nian replied calmly. "The Soul Gem was destroyed by his crimson magic. As for the Mind Gem, it disappeared along with North Star Lorna 4 years ago. Of the 6 Infinity Gems, 2 are missing. In the Devouring Dimension, Destiny Alliance headquarters. Miss Diana, the 4 Infinity Gems stored here at headquarters are missing. They must have been taken," Wanda reported to the purple-haired woman in the luxurious main hall. "Nian." Diana paused, her beautiful eyes brightening slightly. "Could it be that he?" Inside Washington Park, the 4 Infinity Gems were successively set into the nanometal glove, leaving only 2 recesses. Nian took a deep breath. He slowly opened his empty left palm, and under the astonished gaze of the crowd, a bright orange light emerged from its palm. The orange glow grew brighter, becoming solid and condensing into a gem. An orange gem. Is that the soul gem? Doctor Strange's eyes widened in shock. Wasn't it said that the soul gem was destroyed long ago? No. Doctor Strange and everyone present quickly realized this was a brand new soul gem. Buzz! A burst of colorful light erupted. Nian set the fifth gem into the nominal glove. As he opened his left hand again, a faint yellow light emerged from his palm. The yellow light quickly solidified and transformed from a fantasy into a real yellow gem, imbued with indescribably powerful energy. It was undoubtedly the mind gem that was supposedly lost. It's the incredible power that appeared on the battlefield of Apocalypse and turned the tide of battle. Zatanna exclaimed, her beautiful eyes reflecting the young man's figure. Indeed. Cyborg, who had also rushed to the park, also showed excitement on half of his dark face. Is this a fantasy coming true? Raven exclaimed in awe. Chapter 495 Nian's second snap. As the long-destroyed soul gem reappeared, the yellow mind gem, which had vanished along with Lorna, also reappeared from the black-haired youth's left hand. The superheroes and Transcendents on the scene were stunned. Even Cyborg and Zatanna, who had witnessed this power before on Apocalypse, couldn't help but express admiration. Even the Infinity Stones could be created from nothing in a fraction of a second. What a tremendous power! Perhaps even the so-called God, the creator of the universe, was no more than this? Had Thanos witnessed this scene in his lifetime, I wonder what he would have thought. After all, he had once sacrificed everything, including his beloved daughter, for the Infinity Stones. Buzz! A yellow light shone brightly in the night. Nian's gaze was calm as he gazed at the reshaped mind gem on his left hand. That, of course, was his seventh permanent ability, Imagination Creation. This permanent ability, granted by Wanda, had been used only once by Nian. That last time, it was also used to create the Infinity Stones. After the snap that turned the tide of the war on Apocalypse, this ability could no longer be used. For 5 years, Nian had tried countless times, but to no avail. Only now did he finally understand the reason for his loss. 5 years ago, his soul had broken free from the chains of death and returned to his body, ushering in his resurrection. In reality, that resurrection was imperfect, with a significant remnant of the principles of death still lingering in his soul. After Nian's snap of the Infinity Gauntlet on Apocalypse, the imperfect fusion of soul and body became increasingly apparent, rendering even his seventh permanent ability ineffective. Until today, Nian had grasped the transition between death and life, donning the White Lantern to harness the power of life, restoring his resurrection to a perfect state. With both soul and body in perfect condition, the seventh permanent ability naturally returned. The progress that has stalled for years can finally move forward, Nian muttered to himself. On his right hand, he wore an nominal gauntlet imitating the Infinity Gauntlet, while with his left hand, he inserted the Mind Gem, a form of fantasy, into the final recess of the nominal gauntlet. The blue light of the Space Stone, the orange of the Soul Stone, the purple of the Power Stone, the red of the Reality Stone, the green of the Time Stone, and the yellow of the Mind Stone. 5 years later, the 6 Infinity Stones were once again assembled and embedded in the glove. Zzz! Immediately, a surge of powerful, dazzling energy erupted from the nominal glove, adorned with the 6 Infinity Stones, spreading along the arm and corroding the body of its user, Nian. Nian. Master. Supergirl Kara, Alice, and the others expressed deep worry and anxiety. Nian, let me do it. Captain Marvel stepped forward, clenching her fists and speaking gravely. Even though the nominal glove contained most of the energy from the 6 Infinity Stones, even a tiny amount that leaked out was enough to inflict irreparable damage, or even fatal, on a being of extraordinary physique. Don't worry, I can handle it. Nian took a deep breath. Unlike 5 years ago, he now possessed not only a nearly physical immunity to physical damage, but also an 8th permanent ability, energy immunity. A body of steel, coupled with energy immunity. He dared to say that even the combined physical defenses of all the superheroes on the field couldn't match his. Zzz. Facing the lingering onslaught of dazzling lightning, Nian remained calm, forcefully pressing the thumb and middle finger of his glove together. As the crowd watched in disbelief, Nian exerted his full strength, flicking 2 fingers with a crisp snap. A mysterious white light instantly enveloped the entire Earth, and indeed the entire universe. This was Nian's second infinite snap. The white light receded like a tide. In Washington Park, nothing had changed. The superheroes still stood around Nian. Nian's face paled slightly, and the sleeve of his right arm had been burned off, revealing a muscular, intact arm. Supergirl and Alice quickly stepped forward to remove the jeweled glove on his right hand, which was emitting billowing hot smoke. Nian, what did you just do? Martian Manhunter asked, not waiting for a response. On the field, Iron Man froze. Suddenly, the Iron Man suit's built-in voice communication indicated a remote connection, and a breathless, rapid voice rang out, "Mr. Stark, are you there? What happened? You saved me? Why are all those scary monsters gone?" Peter. Tony Stark swallowed, his throat slightly dry as he asked, "Where are you now?" The boy's voice quickly replied, "I'm right here on the streets of Queens, New York. Oh, and I remember being knocked to the ground by a monster. Wait for me, I'll be right there." Iron Man spat out these words, immediately starting the Iron Man suit's engines and taking off from Washington Park, heading back towards New York City. He succeeded. Superman looked at Nian, as if realizing something, and couldn't help but sigh. Cyborg was equally excited, saying, "Yes, he succeeded. He completely undoes what we couldn't accomplish back then. So that's how it is." Martian Manhunter, Thor, and the others also began to realize what Nian had just done. At this moment, inside a renovated flower shop in downtown Washington, D.C., a woman with dyed twin tails and garish clown makeup stared at a bipedal shark. Neither of them could react to what had happened. Bang! A watering can crashed to the ground outside the shop. Poison Ivy, wearing a tight green dress, scurried forward, embracing the twin-tailed woman and the massive shark. "Pamela, why am I here?" Harley tilted her head and exclaimed in surprise. "Wow, Pamela, you actually approached me." "He didn't lie to me," Poison Ivy muttered, grinning radiantly. "He really succeeded." Chew, chew. Shark King Nanis's eyes widened, his teeth gnashing in confusion. In New York's Memorial Park, what is this? Ant-Man and the Wasp stood in bewilderment before the memorial stone inscribed with their missing names. They weren't the only ones. Inside the park, many other citizens appeared with bewildered expressions, accompanied by white flashes. "They're back. They're all back." Cyborg's excitement grew in Washington Park. From his intelligent network perspective, he could see that Earth, once home to only a handful of humans, numbering only 2 or 3 billion, was rapidly increasing in number, returning to the prosperity of 5 years ago. Chapter 496 I am ready to leave this world. 2020. Today is a day destined for a miracle, a day that will go down in history. Over 3 billion people, who should have been considered dead or missing in the Flash incident, half of Earth's population, reappeared intact on Earth. On this day, countless families who lost loved ones were reunited, and Earth returned to its former glory and peak of civilization since the Flash incident. Perhaps only a handful of people know that the creator of this miracle and legend was a seemingly ordinary young man. Washington Park. Nian, the world should remember your name. You are a true superhero. Cyborg said excitedly and firmly, looking at the pale young man. That's not necessary, Nian shook his head. Praise and fame meant nothing to him. Completing the current task was merely a promise he had made to the members of the Mandate of Heaven. They don't need to know me, nor do they need to know what happened 5 years ago, or 5 years from now. Rather than letting them live in worry, it's better to let them celebrate the holidays with their families, Nian said in a low voice, looking at Supergirl Kara and Alice nearby. Let's go to headquarters. He paused, then continued, I have something I want to tell you. Alice asked, Master, why don't you go back to the Washington Villa and rest for a while? No, let's just call a general meeting. Nian's attitude was decisive, and Alice had no choice but to agree. Goodbye, everyone. Nian glanced specifically at Cyborg, Thor, Martian Manhunter, Zatanna, and the others on the field, then left the park with Supergirl, Alice, and Raven. Nian Prince, you. Zatanna watched the young man's back and suddenly felt as if he was about to go to a very distant place. A place even farther than the Devouring Dimension. Inside the Devouring Dimension, the Destiny Alliance headquarters. The reception hall. Sister Diana, what is this? Wonder Girl Cassie's clear eyes widened in surprise. As white light flashed, figures wearing identical silver dimensional rings appeared within the Destiny Alliance headquarters. Zia Oxy, wait for me in the lounge. Diana smiled faintly and rose from the sofa. The Destiny Alliance's general meeting is about to begin. Destiny Alliance, general meeting. Wonder Girl Cassie naturally had no idea that this would be a decisive meeting that would directly affect the future of the outside universe. 5 minutes later. Alliance headquarters, main conference room. When Spider-Woman Gwen, wearing a Green Lantern ring and a Dimension ring, arrived, most of the Destiny Alliance members had already taken their seats in the stone chairs around the conference table. Nian. Gwen saw the young man sitting in the main chair at the round table and couldn't help herself. She rushed forward, wrapped her arms around Nian's neck, and excitedly exclaimed, "My cousin is back. My brother and the friends who died in the Flash incident are back too." Invisible Woman Susan, one of the members already seated in the stone chairs, nodded. Nian. A flash of white light descended upon the main conference room. Poison Ivy gave Nian, seated at the main stage, a complex look before softly saying, "Thank you." With only these words, she took a seat on the stone chair. "Is everyone here?" Diana, wearing a silver-white dress and cape that reached her ankles, entered the conference room with Wanda, who was wearing a red dress. Their arrival and seating left the round table nearly full, with only one empty chair remaining. That was the seat of Lona, a member of the Destiny Alliance. Many members were momentarily dazed when they saw the empty chair. Fortunately, several years later, Nian, the sole pillar of the Destiny Alliance and its first member, finally returned to his seat. Thus, the Destiny Alliance, just 5 years after its founding, welcomed a nearly full general meeting. According to the order of ring qualification, the order would be Nian Prince, first ring. Diana Prince, second ring. Spider-Woman Gwen, third ring. Shockwave Sky, fifth ring. The sixth ring was Mara, the Undersea Queen. The seventh ring was Susan, the Invisible Woman. The eighth ring was Wanda Prince, the Scarlet Witch. The ninth ring was Kara, the Supergirl. The 10th ring was Poison Ivy. The 11th ring was Alice. All the members of the Destiny Alliance were present, with the fourth ring, Polaris, absent from the meeting. You should all know about what's happening in the outside world. Nian's face had regained its rosy complexion. He placed the nanometal glove inlaid with 6 infinity stones on the table and explained, "I have restored my ability to create imaginary objects, and with it, I created the missing infinity stones and performed an infinite snap." Nian, are you alright? Many members expressed concern, knowing that snapping fingers takes a heavy toll on the body. "It's okay. I can withstand the energy backlash now," Nian said, then changed the subject. "However, I don't plan to use the Infinity Gauntlet again to resurrect humans and other creatures on such a large scale. Although the Infinity Gauntlet can change fate, rewriting the future of the universe in this way may not necessarily be a good thing. The existing order may collapse." Nian never felt that he owed the outside world anything. If he did, the 2 snaps were enough to repay it. Nian announced, "I intend to permanently seal this nanometal gauntlet and the 6 infinity stones deep within the Destiny Alliance headquarters. They will be used as Alliance artifacts only in the event of an unmanageable situation." The Destiny members nodded in agreement with Nian's decision and approach. The outside universe might be better off without items like the Infinity Stones. And one more thing. Nian paused. At this moment, the eyes of all the Destiny Alliance members on the field were fixed on him. Nian glanced around, and when his gazes met with those eyes, he said with certainty, "I plan to leave this world." The main meeting hall suddenly fell silent. Nian was about to explain. On the field, the members of the Destiny Alliance looked at each other, and suddenly laughed at the same time. "What are you laughing at?" Nian was a little confused. This was different from what he expected. After hearing the words he announced, shouldn't everyone on the field be stunned or questioning? Nian felt that the start was not right, and he couldn't help but repeat in a deep voice, "I said leaving this world. It's not as simple as leaving the devouring space or the outside Earth." Gwen blinked and smiled. "You want to go to the multiverse and find Luna, right? You all know." Nian was speechless for a moment. "I'm sorry, young master." Wanda raised her hand weakly. "I told them. Didn't you suspect that Lorna was no longer in our universe?" Supergirl Kara folded her arms across her chest and said thoughtfully, "I said. You were so anxious to snap your fingers because you wanted to finish the things outside as soon as possible. That way you can leave the outside universe and go to other multiverses to find people." Susan muttered, "The multiverse must be very interesting." I'm really looking forward to it. Will I meet another me? Mara, who was sitting next to Susan, smiled and added, maybe, I will meet myself in cat and dog form. You guy. Susan gave her a dissatisfied look. The main conference hall was filled with a joyful and lively atmosphere. You. Nian sat up from his chair, touched his head and asked, you want to go with me? Go to the multiverse together. Chapter 497 The final meeting of the Destiny Alliance. You're going to the multiverse with me. In the main meeting hall of the Destiny Alliance, Nian rose from his chair, bewilderedly gazing at the numerous female members of the meeting. Mara feigned resentment. Are you planning on abandoning us all here and slinking off on your own? That's right. Susan, seated nearby, agreed, glaring at Nian. You heartless man. Gwen snorted and laid her cards on the table. Anyway, I've already packed my bags. Don't you know, as a spider, I'm incredibly clingy. If you want to abandon me, ask this fist of mine first. Kara raised her clenched white right hand fiercely. Besides, the multiverse is so dangerous. How can you buff you without my powers? Nian, feeling a slight headache, glanced at Wanda. Wanda, always well-behaved and obedient, met his gaze and replied with a rare firmness, I'm the young master's personal maid. Wherever the young master goes, I must go. And since we're going to find Sister Lorna, I must go no matter what. Alice followed Wanda's words with a faint smile. In that case, I'm the master's AI butler, so there's even less reason not to go. I'm going, Sky said simply, arms folded across her chest. The multiverse sounds fascinating. Poison Ivy licked her lips seductively and said, include me. This. Nian looked at the nearly unanimous members of the Destiny Alliance, his gaze falling on the woman in the gorgeous crown sitting next to him, hoping to get his aunt to persuade the others. Diana's beautiful purple eyes gleamed with wisdom as she whispered, they have the power to choose and decide. That's something that neither you, nor I, nor anyone else can take away. Of course I know. Nian closed his eyes, then opened them again, gazing at the Destiny Alliance members on the field. Under his gaze, the conference hall fell silent again. You must think carefully, Nian said gravely. The complexity of the multiverse exceeds the imagination of any of us here. Once we leave our familiar universe and enter the multiverse, we will most likely be lost in various worlds. Some of the gems and artifacts from our original universe, which contain the laws and energy, may become ineffective. All our previous teleportation abilities cannot return us to our original worlds. We can only wander from one world to another. From the moment we leave this universe and step into the multiverse, we may never be able to return to our original world. Even if we are lucky enough to return, it may be to time and space world hundreds of years ago or later. Entering the multiverse means there is a high probability that you will never see your familiar family and friends again. You will wander endlessly without a time limit. Even if you regret it, there will be no room for regret. Are you truly mentally prepared? Nian's face was extremely solemn. Precisely because he knew the complexity and chaos of the multiverse, he did not ask the members of the Destiny Alliance to follow him on his journey. After all, this would mean abandoning everything they knew and their current situation, leaving their homes and journeying to other universes, where the dangers and future were unpredictable. Nian, have you ever thought about this? Susan replied without hesitation. It's precisely because setting foot on the multiverse would essentially lead to getting lost that we must go with you. Otherwise, wouldn't it mean we'd never see you again? Nian fell silent. Indeed. Even he couldn't guarantee that after entering the multiverse, he could return safely to this world. If they parted, it would be a long, indefinite wait. Nian looked at the dark-haired member in a tight-fitting spy uniform. Sky, aren't you the director of SYNOPSIS now? He seemed to know what Nian was about to say. Sky smiled and said, yes, it's a good thing Nick Fury has been resurrected. I can throw the directorship back to him. With the current Destiny Alliance, there's no use for the director of SYNOPSIS. Nian hesitated, then turned to the female member with coral red hair. Mara, you're the Empress of Atlantis. If you leave, what will happen to your people in the sea? Mara smiled calmly and quickly replied, I've been the Empress of Atlantis for 8 years. Now the Atlantean Empire is back on track. I originally planned to step back, and I've long since trained someone suitable for the Empress position. Pamela. Nian's gaze fell on Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy said calmly, I don't have any family. Just tell Harley, Nunavie, and the others. All I want is to bring plants with me. That's right, Plants are poison ivy's family, and Nian couldn't argue with that. Gwen, Kara. Nian finally turned his gaze to the two sitting next to each other. How are you going to explain this to Superman Carl, Officer George, your families? Will they agree? Spider-Woman Gwen and Supergirl Kara exchanged a glance, then simultaneously asked him, shouldn't you be the one to go and explain? Nian choked, and for a moment, it made perfect sense. It seems you've already made your decision. Nian rested his hands on the round table, his eyes complex. If possible, he wouldn't want to part with everyone, but he didn't want them to give up everything familiar in their universe. Nian, you don't understand one thing, Diana whispered. We know what's most important. After all, aren't you family too? We are one. We always have been, and we always will be. I understand. Nian took a deep breath, a bright and confident smile on his face. He responded to the crowd's gaze. In that case, let's explore this so-called multiverse together. Now, raise your hands if you agree. The next moment, in the main meeting room, every member of the Alliance raised their hands. Thank you. Seeing this, Nian also raised his right hand. It was a unanimous vote of approval. Meow. The orange cat, who had been dozing by the meeting window, opened its sleepy eyes, yawned softly, and also raised its small, white-gloved paws. And so, on the night that half of Earth's humanity, killed in the Flash incident, was resurrected, the Destiny Alliance also held its final meeting in the current universe. At the meeting, all Alliance members unanimously decided to leave this universe and journey together to the multiverse. The goal, without a doubt, was even more distant than the sea of stars. Chapter 498 I Want to Marry Kara and Gwen. The next morning, in Metropolis, at the home of Superman Clark Kent, Nian sat on the sofa, his hair slicked back and his suit on the grounds. Kara, one of Earth's most powerful women, dressed in a mini dress and black stockings, leaned against him, a delicate, demure figure. On either side of the living room sat two other sofas. On one sat Clark, his wife Lois, and his adoptive mother, Martha. On the other sat Kara's adoptive parents, the Danvers family and Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. At that moment, several pairs of eyes, both of Kara's family, were fixed on Nian. The living room was eerily still and silent. Nian felt a profound, invisible pressure, no less daunting than facing Darkseid. Kara chuckled, but still held Nian's arm tightly in her soft, warm embrace. Finally, a 5-year-old boy, Superman's son, Jonathan Kent Jr., broke the silence. You want to take Aunt Kara away? You'll have to get past me first. Little Jonathan Kent ran down the stairs, rolling up the sleeve of his tiny right arm. Facing Jonathan, who was charging at Nian, Nian smiled softly. Come on, little Jonathan. I just wanted to warm up outside. Huh? No way. Jonathan was instantly frightened. He was no match for Nian, having been subjected to her brutal training for years. Jonathan turned and ran, waving and shouting, Uncle Nian, please, take my aunt away. That brat, he still hasn't been taught enough. Nian gritted her teeth, her delicate face flushing. Nian was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. In the living room, everyone was also amused by little Jonathan, and the tense atmosphere eased considerably. Nian. Clark, wearing black framed glasses and a shirt that concealed his muscles, looked as refined as a clerk. He stared at Nian and said in a deep voice, You can take Kara away if you want. But I need a promise from you. Nian quickly replied, I will protect her and won't let her get hurt. You know, that's not the promise I'm talking about. Clark shook his wife, Lois, by her side. Without hesitation, Nian said, I will marry Kara. Kara froze, her face flushing. That's reassuring, Clark said comfortingly. Don't worry, after you leave, I'll still be there to protect this world and wait for you to return. Nian. Captain Marvel Carol Danvers looked Nian in the eye. Kara is also my cousin. If she ever suffers any injustice from you, even if you're still in the multiverse, I'll find you and teach you a lesson. I'll teach you a lesson, and I'll teach myself a lesson too. Nian nodded. He silently added, marrying is certainly necessary, but how many is uncertain. Superman Clark had no idea what Nian was thinking, or else he might have already started sharpening his axe. Come on, let's have a drink together as a family. Kara's adoptive father, Danvers, said. After leaving Superman Clark's house, Nian rushed to his next destination that afternoon without stopping. In downtown Washington, At home, Gwen's parents, the Stacys, were preparing for a dinner party. Aunt May had also brought the recently resurrected Peter Parker to help. Even though it's Christmas, the dinner is incredibly lavish, isn't it? Aunt May exclaimed, surveying the abundant food filling the kitchen. Peter's back, so it's a good time to celebrate. Lady Mary's eyes and lips curved in a smile. Also, Gwen said she'll be bringing her boyfriend over today. Isn't she getting engaged? Aunt May exclaimed in surprise. Lady Mary sighed. Yes, it's just that Gwen's kept it a secret so well that even her father couldn't figure out who he was. Outside the living room, Peter Parker, still seemingly a high school student, opened his eyes wide. Cousin Gwen was bringing her boyfriend over? Getting engaged? What had he missed in the past 5 years? Peter Parker couldn't help but imagine the image of a dark-haired young man. Could it be? Next to Peter Parker, Officer George, dressed in a brand new shirt, trousers, and tie, sat nervously on the sofa. But then, the doorbell rang. Lady Mary and Aunt May, who were in the kitchen, hurried out of the living room. I'm coming. Officer George had already risen from the sofa the moment the doorbell rang, quickly running to the door and opening it. His beloved daughter, Gwen, was strikingly beautiful in a mini dress. Her short, golden hair swayed gracefully, her legs wrapped in white silk stockings, glistening white. She embraced someone's right arm with an intelligent and charming air. Dad, this is my boyfriend, Gwen proudly introduced. Hello, hello. Officer George instinctively extended his hand warmly and politely. But when his eyes fell on the strangely familiar smile of the dark-haired young man beside Gwen, Officer George was struck by lightning. Father-in-law, Nian shook Officer George's hand and said enthusiastically, Gwen, I'll take it with me. Officer George's face froze, and he touched his waist. Where's my service weapon? Dad? Gwen glared at him. Brother. You're here. Peter Parker excitedly greeted Nian, seeing him standing outside. And, you're resurrected too, Nian nodded. Peter Parker looked at Nian excitedly. He had heard from Mr. Stark that the miracle of his still being here was due to his brother. At Gwen's family dinner. Brother, come on, brat. Officer George shouted, insisting on a drinking contest with Nian. No matter how Mary and Aunt May tried to persuade him, it was useless. Nian could only accede to his promise. 10 minutes later, Officer George successfully collapsed on the table, while Nian, with his steely body, didn't even blush. Another drink, for Gwen. Officer George, with gray hair on his temples, lay on the table. Although he was too drunk to lift his head, he still slowly raised his glass to Nian. Yes, for Gwen. Nian agreed, clinking his glass with Officer George's, and then drank it in one gulp. After the dinner, Nian went outside to the balcony to take a breath, and Peter Parker followed him out. A light snow fell outside, and the night sky was shining with stars. Brother, are you really going to take Cousin Gwen far away? Peter Parker asked curiously. Indeed. Nian nodded in agreement, not hiding too much. Peter Parker continued to ask, how far? Will I be able to see you again when I grow up? Too far to imagine. But no one can predict what will happen in the future. Nian said, rubbing Peter Parker's head, I know you want to be a real superhero. Keep this as your goal in the future, Spider-Man. Nian smiled and said, if we are destined to meet again in the future, we will definitely meet again. Chapter 499 Farewell to this world. Brother, I'll definitely become a superhero before you return. Peter Parker didn't shy away from Nian's ruffling of his hair. Despite a hint of disappointment, he still smiled and agreed. He stared directly at the tall, dark-haired young man before him and said firmly, so, you must come back. We agreed to meet in the future. We'll try to return after we accomplish our goal. Nian nodded in agreement. Perhaps this would have seemed incredibly unrealistic to the Ancient One in his lifetime. After all, once entering the multiverse, one is a wanderer through time and space. Even if they could return to their original world, time would be disrupted, perhaps by decades, centuries, or even millennia. Peter, this is for you. Nian rubbed the dimension ring, pulled out something, and handed it to the curly-haired white boy beside him. What is this? Peter Parker instinctively took the object in his hand and saw it was a small USB drive. Take it. It will definitely be helpful to you in the future. Nian shrugged, looking at the USB drive with a hint of nostalgia. This USB drive, naturally, was a gift from Peter Parker, the Spider-Man they had unexpectedly encountered in a parallel universe many years ago. However, that Spider-Man Peter Parker was the sole superhero in that world, the true ruler of the universe. It contained numerous cutting-edge technologies developed by Peter in that parallel universe, including artificial intelligence. Of course, these advanced technologies have now been fully replicated and significantly upgraded by Future Chronicle. However, the USB drive's database also contained numerous spider suit designs, capable of adapting to various combat environments, specifically designed for Spider-Man. This is a gift from a friend of mine. I don't think anyone in the world is more worthy of inheriting it than you, Nian replied. Thank you, I'll take good care of it, Peter Parker replied solemnly, clutching the USB drive. Just then, Officer George's voice called from inside the house, "Where's the brat? I can still fight. For Gwen, I won't lose. Let's go in." Nian patted Peter Parker's shoulder and returned from the balcony. Peter Parker stood on the balcony, gazing at Nian's tall, broad figure. A moment's days passed before he suddenly asked, "Brother, are you the Mr. Magneto from before?" Nian didn't pause, simply waved back and entered the family-filled living room. Sure enough, Peter Parker smiled, understanding everything, and quickly followed Nian's lead. After the dinner at Gwen's house and the engagement ceremony, Nian went to New York. In downtown New York, in a two-story wooden house, a handsome, silver-haired young man, wearing goggles, was hugging two model-quality white women as he returned to the house. He was about to pull out his key to open the door when he froze. A light was on inside. "You two wait outside," the silver-haired young man said, then quickly opened the door and closed it again. The two models stood outside, staring at each other. On the first floor of the house, the silver-haired young man stopped with a gust of wind and saw a black-haired young man sitting on the sofa. "Hi, Pietro," the black-haired young man waved and greeted him, smiling. "You're quite popular with women." Pietro's mouth twitched slightly. When it came to popularity with women, how could he compare to the man in front of him? "Boss, what are you doing here?" Pietro said subconsciously, then quickly corrected himself. "By the way, Wanda just told me this morning that you guys are going to other universes to find your big sister, right? After all, if I'm going to take your twin sister with me, I still have to tell you." Nian smiled calmly. "Aha. Even if you don't take her, Wanda will definitely go with you." Pietro spread his hands and said, "Actually, Wanda mentioned it to me this morning and asked you if I wanted to leave this world with her. What do you think?" Nian asked. "I've given it some serious thought and decided to stay." Pietro looked around the cabin and sighed. "After all, this is my parents' home, and it's also the home of Wanda and Lorna's parents. If I leave, it'll be truly abandoned. I've decided to stay and await your return. So, I'll leave my two sisters in your care," Pietro said, looking seriously at Nian. "Don't worry. I'll take good care of Wanda, and I'll definitely find Lorna," Nian agreed. "I've always believed in that. After all, you're my eldest brother." Pietro chuckled. "Here, you go. Even if you use it casually, it'll be enough for you to use for a lifetime." Nian handed over a gold bank card from Future Chronicle. "Then I'll take it as a betrothal gift from my two sisters." Pietro was delighted and unceremoniously put the card in his pocket, as if selling his sisters a buy one get one free deal. "Well, then. Goodbye, Pietro." With a wave of his hand, Nian opened a Martian portal and walked away. "I must see you again, big brother," Pietro muttered to himself, watching Nian's figure until the portal disappeared from view. Nian was saying goodbye to his friends outside the Destiny Alliance. This was also a farewell to the world he lived in. Nian and the members of the Destiny Alliance would embark on a journey with no end in sight and no clear destination, perhaps from which they would never return. Christmas Eve. Future Chronicle, the world's leading industrial company. Over 100,000 employees worldwide at Future Chronicle received a notice regarding personnel changes. With intense internal competition within Future Chronicle, personnel changes were commonplace. But this time, every employee was stunned. Gwen Stacy, general manager of Future Chronicle, was stepping down indefinitely. Her day-to-day duties would be taken over by her deputy manager. That wasn't the most shocking news. The next part was. Alice, the Future Chronicle's director, has resigned, and a new director, Shirley, has temporarily taken over management. Although no one has seen Alice's face since Future Chronicles' founding, she was clearly the company's leader. Her sudden departure, and the replacement of the previously unknown Shirley, sent shockwaves through the company. As soon as news of this personnel change leaked, it quickly made headlines. Only a select few were aware of it. This was one of the final farewells from this world's king, its behind-the-scenes ruler, to the present world. Chapter 500. Our journey is the multiverse. Gotham City, Wayne Manor. The night deepened. A dim light shone in the grand, luxurious second-floor main hall. Bruce Wayne, Batman and heir to the Wayne Empire, sat in a wooden chair behind his desk. In front of the desk, 4 teenagers, dressed in varying styles but all sporting Bat-themed logos, stood shoulder to shoulder. These 4 were the Robins, the heroic successors being groomed to succeed Batman. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, and Damian Wayne. The other 3 stood silently, standing at attention, waiting for Bruce Wayne to speak. Only Damian Wayne, toying with his bat dart, asked with a hint of dissatisfaction, "Didn't you give up on Dick Grayson and me? Why are you suddenly calling us back today?" Nightwing Dick glanced at Damian Wayne helplessly, but he knew that Damian Wayne desperately wanted to return and see his master. "Today is Christmas. So, I think our family should get together." Bruce Wayne, seated at the head, spoke slowly, less solemn and more affectionate than usual. "What? No special mission, just calling us back for this crap?" Damian Wayne muttered, his heart twitching involuntarily. Looking at the middle-aged man with the graying hair in front of him, he realized he was getting older. "Mr. Bruce, please take care of your health," said Nightwing Dick. "Yes, I'll punish crime in Gotham." Red Hood Jason Todd clenched his fists. "I am." Red Robin Tim Drake said with equal determination. Bruce Wayne looked at the 4 people before him and nodded slightly, then his expression grew serious again. "I called you back not only for Christmas, but also for something else. Because of that, the problems facing our world will become even more serious." "What is it?" The 4 Robins shuddered, knowing Batman never joked about. Bruce Wayne hadn't spoken yet. With a rustling sound, a Martian portal suddenly appeared in the second-floor main hall, and a figure emerged. "Who is it?" "Who?" The 4 Robins were startled, quickly turning to look behind them. "I didn't expect you'd see so many people here one day," the dark-haired young man who emerged from the portal said with a smile. "It's you." The 4 Robins were stunned. Nightwing Dick and Damian Wayne had met Nian before, during the battle against the Hellfire Club. And Red Hood Jason and Red Robin Tim had also met during the battle against the resurrected Steppenwolf. "I thought you wouldn't come," Bruce Wayne said, looking at the dark-haired young man. "After all, you've taken away 2 members of the Justice League, so I figured I'd say goodbye to you." Nian shrugged. 3, Bruce Wayne corrected expressionlessly. 3? Nian raised a brow. "Even if you counted Aunt Diana and Supergirl Kara, there were only 2. How could there be 3? Never mind. Good luck, everyone." Nian waved to Bruce Wayne and the 4 Robins on the field. "You too. Good luck, and be sure to come back," Bruce Wayne replied gravely. "Thank you." Nian smiled and stepped into the portal. He had arrived quickly, and he left just as quickly. He truly was just saying goodbye. "Mr. Bruce, what's going on?" "Goodbye? Mr. Nian, is he going somewhere else?" the 4 Robins asked curiously, watching the Mars annihilated in the main hall. Bruce Wayne was silent for a moment, then said, "This is the serious problem our world faces in the future. Norway, Asgard, the New God realm, a small town. Under the night sky, a cold sea breeze whistled through the cracks in the doorway of a simple wooden house. The ultimate divine weapon of the God realm, the Stormbreaker, leaned against the wall like an ordinary axe. Ton. Thor, a portly-looking man with a beard, sat drinking beer with an alien stone figure. "Thor, someone's looking for you." At that moment, accompanied by a voice calling from outside, the wooden door of the cabin suddenly opened, and a dark-haired young man in a rustling windbreaker walked in. "Ah, it's you." Thor looked up, saw the newcomer, and burped, raising his beer glass. "Just in time, let's have a few drinks together." Thor. Nian sized him up. This was the first time they had truly met in person, but it was also their final farewell. Loki died 5 years ago. Thor drank from his beer and said hoarsely, he met his end along with old Asgard, but he deserved it for his evil deeds. Of course. As for the War of the Gods, I haven't completely conceded defeat yet. Thor put down his glass and looked at Nian solemnly. If you leave, I will take on those powerful enemies my father mentioned. At that moment, he was full of vigor and energy, as if he had once been the prince of the Asgard, the undefeated god of thunder from Norse mythology. Besides Hela, the powerful enemy Odin had mentioned before was naturally the Celestials. Nian's only regret was that, as of now, he still didn't know where the Celestials were. Without them, there was no way to resolve this major threat. However, seeing Thor regain his fighting spirit, Nian relaxed a bit. Then I'll leave it to you. Earth was a different place now. Not only did Thor possess Stormbreaker, but also Superman, Martian Manhunter, Captain Marvel, and other powerful individuals of the strength of a single universe remained behind. Even if the Celestials attacked, they should be able to withstand them. After bidding farewell to his acquaintances in the present world, Nian returned to the metaverse. Within the metaverse, preparations were underway for the upcoming multiverse journey. Nian decided to bring along the metaverse emperor, meaning he would be taking a small universe with him on his journey into the multiverse. But the metaverse was not just home to the Destiny Alliance, it also housed the remnants of many top alien civilizations from the outside world. Nian had also discussed with Starfish Starro early on how to arrange for the planetary civilizations living within the devouring dimension. Within the devouring dimension? What did you say? They all want to remain in the devouring dimension. Nian was surprised. Yes, Starro, floating in the cosmic sky like a mountain, responded with his mind. I informed them of the current situation and said that if they wish, I can shrink them back to their original size and allow them to return to their original outside world. But they all said that their home civilizations in the outside world were destroyed by a brainiac long ago, and they have lived on this new planet for 8 years. They begged to continue to survive here. Nian had not expected that so many alien civilizations would actually want to remain in the devouring dimension. But think about it. The devouring dimension is also a small universe, safe enough, self-sufficient in resources, and without the dangers of invasion and attack from the outside world. Starro continued to convey his thoughts. Nian, I intend to remain in the devouring dimension, leaving a Guanluo clone in the outside universe. Of course, that's no problem. Nian was speechless. He had originally planned to take his aunt with him to the multiverse, but now the number of people was increasing. At this rate, could he really take an entire small universe with him to the multiverse? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.